know. But
what was your first haul? How many pills did you pull down from that?
That doctor wrote me 270 perk 30s.
270?
270 perk 30s.
Xanax, I bet.
90 Xanny bars.
Yep.
2 milligrams
Bars?
of bars.
The bars,
Yep. 90
baby.
somas.
Damn.
And 90 OC 80s.
Golly.
Yes.
That's a hell of a haul, man.
Dude, my devil horns grew.
Oh,
I would have got a boner.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely. Dude.
Holding that in my
Absolutely.
hand. Like,
Okay.
hey.
We have David Crego with us.
Yes, we do.
We just kind of met recently
Yeah.
on like a business level,
Yeah.
marketing level with your roofing company.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I know you're in recovery. Never heard your story. I know a lot of people you know, so we're excited to hear the adventures of David and what led you to the place you're at today, because I think it's safe to say you probably feel pretty grateful for the life you have today.
Absolutely do. Absolutely do. You know, I'll start off by saying, like, you know, I'm about to turn 38 in April. And I've got essentially 36 years of just, I won't say unpleasant living, but wildness, you know. And these last, like, 2 years have been the most positive and just probably best years of my life, which is wild. Just spend 38 years on this planet and only have 2 that are
That are like peaceful.
in a positive aspect. Not to say I don't have experiences previous or whatnot, but it's just so crazy. It's so crazy.
Tell us about childhood. Where'd you grow up?
So I was born and raised on the west side.
Columbus, Ohio.
Yep, Columbus, Ohio, Hilltop. You know, my mom still lives in the same house that was my childhood home. My dad, my mom's a saint. I put my mom through hell. And it was kind of inspired. My dad is an alcoholic. He was a absent alcoholic, so he like dry when I was born or whatnot. But you know, that's who I started partying with.
Was Dad?
Was Dad.
Dang. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know,
We all got something in common.
Yeah.
I mean, he was my dad. He's my best friend. He was my superhero. He was my mentor. And, you know, sometime preteen years, he started drinking again. And I didn't know him drinking. I just knew him, you know what I mean? And he started drinking all the time and whatnot. And naturally, we did everything together. So I wanted to do that. So I was like 12 years old one night. And I remember it vividly, like a movie. And I was like, hey, I want to try that.
What's he drinking? What's his drink?
So
choice?
he liked Miller High Life a lot, long neck bottles.
That takes me back to high school.
So yeah, one night, you know, he started drinking again and whatnot. One night, you know, I wanted to do that with him too.
You're 12.
12 years old. And I just wanted to be a part of what my dad was doing, you know. So I asked him, like, hey, I want some of that without hesitation. He was like, absolutely. We were drinking Colonial Club vodka and orange pop mixed together. And
You and Pops just hanging out.
and my childhood best friend at the time.
Damn.
Yep. And the rule was like, hey, we're going to do this, but you got to be in bed before your mom gets home. And I was like, cool. And I remember it like a movie, man. I got drunk. And I was getting like, my dad was making fun of me for being a lightweight, but the irony of it is like, of course I'm a fucking lightweight.
I'm 12.
I'm 12 years old.
I'm 12.
Yeah.
I'm 12 years old. It's my first time drinking.
What do you expect?
You know?
Yeah.
But I got plastered, man.
How much did you drink?
Oh, man, probably like just 2 mixed drinks. I don't know. He was pouring them. But, you know, 12 years old and
Yeah.
Colonial Club vodka, 2 of them will get you there.
It'll get you where you need to go.
100%.
I had a blast. It was super eye-opening. I loved it. Went to bed. There's, you know, boom, boom, boom. Got away with it. Next day, telling all the friends, you know. And
Did it kind of feel like,
yeah,
I'm the man.
It was exciting.
This is
Yeah.
what I've
Yeah.
been missing this.
I could take, yeah, absolutely. You know, it was like that's exactly what I needed, and I didn't know I needed that. But it was super exciting too. I could take it to the friend group and brag and boast, and
Yeah.
you know, I got this little like Superman badge now and whatnot. And that was the first time I ever, you know, drank or caught a buzz, and it seemed normal to me.
And it was a good time.
It was an amazing time. Amazing time.
What's your dad like as a drunk? Like, is he like
there are different stages of my dad. then he was like the best friend and like more than a dad. But over the years, he it changed. Things changed. I watched him deteriorate as the person I knew into a whole nother person over the course of a few years.
Just watching alcoholism.
Yeah, like successful, had a contracting company, had crews, whatnot. Him and my mom worked together. Then it was like he didn't want to go to work anymore. Then it was like he was a permanent fixture in the living room. Catch him talking to himself and responding to himself, like kind of just disassociated.
Yeah.
Full blown alcoholism.
We talking mental health here too, or just
Probably never diagnosed. He would never go get diagnosed, but outside looking in, and
Probably.
I'm by no means a psych eval.
Right.
Not credited to do psych eval, but yeah, just watching how it progressed over time, absolutely. And then it was like, he was a pizza delivery dude.
Damn, went from his own contracting business to a delivery man.
Yeah, pizza delivery dude. And then him and my mom got divorced, and it just continued to downward. I haven't seen him or talked to him in close to 10 years.
Wow.
Heard he's homeless in Dayton somewhere. And that's just,
It's a testament to the disease, is what it
absolutely,
is.
absolutely. And it's all inclusive.
Yeah.
All inclusive. But, I think back on the good times and the transitions and whatnot, but that was another bonding experience between me and
Isn't
him.
that weird, man? Because
Absolutely.
I used with my mom, he used with his
My
dad,
dad.
you used with your dad,
Yeah.
and it's so weird how that became our way to bond with those parents.
I used to be really like upset about it at times,
I used to not share it a lot.
Well, I look back on it, man, and I can't really be mad at the man. He was doing the best he knew at the time.
Yeah.
Doing the best he knew at the
Yeah.
time. He did cause some corruption. Absolutely.
Of course.
I mean, because the like I said, the rule was you do this and you go to sleep before mom gets home, and then that continued on into other things. And essentially, as their relationship started to diminish and led to their divorce, my dad being an alcoholic, he started setting like picks. You know what I mean? It turned into a very, very tension-filled household.
I can imagine.
And a lot of the stuff, like, started drinking with my dad at 12. I started smoking weed with my dad at 13.
Yeah, what are you seeing in this neighborhood you grew up in
So we,
as a young kid?
for the part of the west side where we lived, it was what I would call the nicer part of the west side.
Okay.
So we were over towards Briggs High School.
Okay.
But me and, naturally I surrounded myself with friends that were like-minded. We all liked to party and this and that, and we were kind of flying under the radar and, had a cool parent and a not so cool parent, or maybe a single parent, and we just do what we did, It was following their divorce that I started really running the west side, traveling in between like Solvent and Broad.
How old were you then?
16.
Okay.
My mom put me out the first time at 16. And
She kicked you out?
absolutely.
Because of like the drinking and
Oh, 'cause
partying.
I was just a
and
terrorist.
the hoodlum.
I was a terrorist, yeah.
Tell us about that.
So, like I said, naturally, like leading up to their divorce, my dad started setting in my mind that like he's the good guy, she's the bad guy. We can get away with whatever we want as long as mom doesn't
Mom
find out.
doesn't know.
Yeah, and so naturally, it created this villainous mindset towards my mom
And this
as an adolescent.
divide. Yeah.
And me and him I started smoking weed with him at 13. I was his drug dealer. I was selling him weed at 14. My dad taught me how to party and make money doing it. And really, that's how it worked out. And so by the time they were split, I'm drinking, smoking weed, got into some hallucinogenics, and just thought that, now I felt like I was the man in the house. Dad's gone. I'm a bigger sized guy. I was bigger in high school. I played football and whatnot. And I thought, hey, I'm that guy.
I'm that guy.
And
How was school?
school was really good. I came into high school with like a ninth grade 4.0 GPA.
Holy
When I
fuck.
graduated, with a .65.
Jesus, that's
There was a vast,
All right,
Yeah.
vast
there's some
transition.
things
I
that
didn't know you could-
happened there.
Is that what
Okay.
is that? It's like a D average. Like
That's
That's
below.
really-
It's like,
yeah,
yeah,
that's
so
like
that's
failing.
skimming. I don't know how you did that.
When we went to graduation rehearsal, I was surprised that they called my name.
They were probably
I was-
surprised they called your name
I
too.
think they
like,
just wanted to
wait a
get rid of
minute.
me. I was
Yeah.
fucking just wild. But yeah, she was trying to implement rules and take control of her house, and I was bucking back, and she wasn't having it. So I got put out, and I became a professional couch surfer at like 16 years old.
As a kid.
Yeah, and I thought I was an adult.
Where do you go?
So like I said, I had them friend groups.
Yeah.
Then I had like 3 friends who their families were like my extended family, and I could just kind of go.
Couch surf.
Yeah, I could go over here and spend 2 or 3 weeks, and when I felt like they were getting a little tired of me, I could go to the next one and spend 2 or 3 weeks there, and then start the cycle over.
Yeah.
Go back, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, me and those friends were doing the same stuff. They're skipping school, I'm skipping school. We're all partying, experimenting new things. But I really liked that lifestyle. I liked it. I liked the chaos. I liked the unpredictability.
Mm-hmm.
The kind of freedom to be the exact fuck up I wanted to be. Thought I was an adult, and with all that comes just so many different things. Like I said, came into high school. I mean, freshman year of high school, I varsity lettered in 3 different sports. Cared about my grades. I had a paper route. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is back when we had paper routes.
Yeah.
So I was working.
That was like good
before
money
school.
back in the day
Yeah.
too.
And absolutely,
yeah.
Like a
for a
successful
14-year-old, super sweet
Yeah,
money.
yeah.
Successful student, good
Yeah.
athlete, you
And
got a job.
It just transitioned. I mean, crazy. I started getting into all this stuff. By senior year, I wasn't playing any sports. I was barely going to school. If I did go to school, it was just to link up with people to party and skip school with. And I made it very known. Like, I didn't care who, administration-wise, teachers, parents, knew what I was like, whatever, dude, you going to stop me?
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck you.
Yep.
And so, yeah, just kind of really got turned on to the West Side street life kind of young. And I stayed in that street life for a long time. It was attractive. It was dangerous. It was fun. It was fast. And I mean, it's literally, you just got like a plethora of resources depending on what you're looking for.
It's so weird, man. And I've shared this before. I remember telling my mom one day we had just went and copped some heroin together. I remember telling her in the car, I was like, "Why wouldn't you want to live this life?
Yeah.
Like this is
Yeah,
awesome.
this is perfect.
I remember thinking like,
Yeah.
this is awesome. Why wouldn't you want to do this?
Yeah.
It's like you said, chaos. It just
no
feels
responsibility,
yeah.
yeah.
Like, and I meant it when I said that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I have arrived.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Yeah.
This is sweet. Yeah, dude. I mean, with every new I want to say like substance endeavor that I got into young and aging, that's how I felt every time. Like, drinking was like, oh yeah. Smoking weed was like, oh yeah. I tried cocaine for the first time like barely 17. And I remember that night like the back of my hand. Like, I stayed up all night at my buddy's house and I was doing crossword puzzles. And I was dating and timing the time that I started them and the time that I finished them. And like, I did like 6 of these in like 2.5 hours.
So you were just doing blow and crossword puzzles?
Yep. First time ever
Sounds
on
like a hell
cocaine,
of a
just doing
Saturday night,
crossword
man.
puzzles on the hilltop.
Like, check how fast I can do this.
Yeah, it was, and like the next day I looked back at them and I was proud of it. I was showing them off to people.
Oh, that's good. That's fucking good.
That's awesome.
It was
That's
wild.
good.
But that was bliss, and I felt
That was bliss.
yeah, I think the bigger thing was too, man. Like, it made me feel cool. It made me feel cool, man. I feel like now that I'm older, I've gotten to like evaluate myself quite a bit, and I realized that the vast majority of my life I was a pretty insecure person. So shit like that made me feel cool.
Like the insecurities go out the window when I'm.
Yeah, and as things evolved, I became the more crazier one, and I think I was trying to compensate for insecurities. And it's just, I like breaking the rules. There's one time, like 16 years old, me and all my buddies are tripping on mushrooms.
This is after you got kicked out?
This is right before I got kicked out of my
Okay.
mom's house. I'm supposed to be grounded. At 16, whatever, I was letting my mom think that she
Right.
got that off, and I'm sneaking out
Grounded.
at night, and
Sure.
we're all tripping on mushrooms, and we're like, man, it'd be cool to have some beer, but we're like 16, and it's like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. It's Thanksgiving night, going into Black Friday, and I was like, I know where a keg is. And they're like, no shit, where? I was like, on my grandpa's back porch. I was like, well, we can fucking go get it. I was just there earlier. It's definitely sitting
It's
out back.
there.
So we went on mushrooms, got my car, drove over there. I sent my 2 buddies back there to get it because I was like, if they see me, they'll know. And they come rolling this fucking keg down the driveway, making all this noise. You know what I mean?
2 a.m.
Oh, yeah, late. But proud moment. We got it, you know? And
Tap that baby that night.
listen, I was so proud of that keg. I put my buddies in the back seat. I put the keg in the front seat.
Put the
a
seatbelt on it.
it.
Seatbelt
and
on
we
it.
transported it back to my buddy's house. And now second leg of this mission is get it in his house without his mom knowing. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. She
Quite
should
the
be
fucking Mission Impossible.
Oh,
right there,
absolutely.
yeah.
She should
Heavy
be
ass
asleep.
keg.
Especially at 16.
Yeah, 16.
4 of us.
Yeah.
So we go in, and I'm the one carrying the keg. And he goes in, he quiets the dog down, and his room was in the basement. So it was like, go in, immediately hit the stairs, get to the basement, we're clear.
Yep.
I get 3 steps down the fucking stairs, and I see his mom's moo-moo
Oh,
in
shit.
her ankles, and she is pissed.
So you're just caught red-handed with the keg
tripping on mushrooms.
on stream.
Like, it was wild.
Oh, no.
Wild. Long story short, we ended up, like, we had to go hide it, wait for her to fall asleep. We went and got it back. I'm pretty sure she knew we went and got it back. I mean, why wouldn't she? And then we realized we didn't have a tap.
Ah,
These are just the random things.
Damn, bud,
The risk is like, that was what was exciting about
Yeah,
it. You know, the beer was like the side note, the risk
Yeah.
of all this.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of a dead mission after that. We put all that energy into it, and it seemed like a really good idea at the time, and the risk was super present. But
it's funny. Nobody thought like, how are we gonna tap this thing?
16 years old,
Yeah,
I didn't
how we
fucking
gonna-
know what a tap was.
How are we gonna get this
Yeah.
thing
you
out?
know, but that's how we did stuff, man.
So you graduated high school.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. 2005, Briggs High School.
So take us post graduation. Obviously, you're couch surfing.
Yeah.
Mom's kicked you out. Dad's declining.
Yep. So graduate high school. I remember I felt entitled to a graduation party. I didn't get one. My mom gave me like $200, and that was that. And I think we spent it on weed and cocaine.
Yep.
So in 2005, I went to jail for my first time. Workhouse.
Okay.
I had an active warrant for multiple counts of drug paraphernalia.
For what, like bong or like
Bongs and pipes and this
Pipes.
and that. Got pulled over one night. We were tanked on ecstasy. The vehicle I had purchased was one of our drug dealers at the time. It's his whole vehicle, and we were in his area. We got
Oh.
pulled over super late at night, and I'm pretty sure they thought we were him.
Yeah.
And they came up with this story like, oh, well, there was reports of you guys breaking into cars and stealing car stereos. Well, the irony in that is it was downpouring rain that night. None of
Yeah.
us were wet, and I didn't even have a car stereo. You know what I mean? But I had all this paraphernalia. They gave me tickets, let me go. Really wild experience being freshly 18 and in the back of a cop car, completely obliterated on ecstasy. It's wild.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Dude, it was wild. I mean, just tanked, you know, and I'm like trying to keep composure, but if you've ever done ecstasy before,
Oh, but
it's like there's no seriousness.
No.
And it comes in waves.
Yeah.
And like, you know, so, but yeah, man, I got those tickets and this and that, and I didn't pay them. Didn't care. And me and 2 of my buddies are out rolling around one night in that same vehicle. And at this point in time, me and my buddy who was in the front seat, we were selling cocaine and weed. And we had a deal because I was always the driver. He didn't have a driver's license. It was both of our stuff. But the deal was like, hey, if we think we're going to get pulled over, put the cocaine
In the shoe.
in the shoe and put the weed up under the spot in the dash. So that way, if they ever find anything, it's the weed.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's the lesser of the 2 evils.
Yep.
And so we're coming down Sullivan from Georgesville, heading down the west side, heading west. And I see a cop sitting in the thrift store parking lot right there. You can see his yellows on his like parking lights.
Yep.
And we were stupid when we were young. It was a Jeep Cherokee we were driving, and it had no exhaust. So it was just loud.
Loudest.
Loud. 3:30 in the morning. We're drunk, and we're in possession. And naturally, he pulls us over. And he came up to the window and he's like, how's it going? I was like, all right. He said, license, registration, proof of insurance. I said, listen, man, here's my license. I don't know where my registration is. I don't have insurance.
Oh.
And I got warrant.
Damn, that's a trifecta, bud.
He's like, you got a warrant? I was like, yeah. So we got through all that. And he's like, you been drinking? Yeah. Had an empty liter.
You were just
of
honest.
worst
You were just
criminal
honest
I mean,
about
we're caught.
everything.
Like, what
Yeah.
are we gonna do?
Yeah.
empty liter of Jim Beam behind my driver's seat. You know what I mean? Covered up with a T-shirt. So he's like, all right. And they're like, well, we're gonna search your car. You know. I was like, all right, that's cool, man. They're like, anything we're gonna find? I was like, yeah, you might find some pot. You know, maybe. And I don't know. I'm pretty drunk.
Yeah.
You know.
Which is under the
Under
you
the
put it in
dashboard.
your little spot.
In my
right?
head, yes. So they searched like 3 different times, and they've got both my buddies out of the vehicle. They're both 17. I'm 18. So their parents are coming to get them.
They're probably shitting their pants.
Oh,
Right now.
dude.
One dude's holding some coke.
Oh yeah, we're drunk and zooted. You know, it's 4 o'clock in the morning.
And you're the adult, though.
Yeah. So after the 3rd time they searched, they didn't find nothing. They're like, well, we're gonna look one more time. And they ended up finding the cocaine.
Oh, and the guy's shoe.
No. He flip-flopped on me. He
Oh.
put like
Put the
2.5
coke.
ounces of weed in his shoe. So as I'm seeing him
Oh, he put
stand
the
there,
coke-
he's now lopsided. And
Buddy.
he put the cocaine up
In
under
the
there,
car.
and they found it. And yeah, so now I'm going to jail for
Bang with the felony possession.
active warrants. They found a pair of brass knuckles in my back pocket.
Are those illegal?
CCW, misdemeanor 3.
For fucking brass knuckles?
Yep.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
I
Wow.
still, yeah.
I didn't even know they were in my pocket. I was so hammered.
Yeah, whatever.
And then, yeah, they wrote it up, felony possession of cocaine.
How much cocaine was it?
Like 8 grams.
Okay.
Like 8 grams. That's a wild turn of events, too. But yeah, so now I'm in jail.
Was it just a F5 possession?
So it should have been. It should have been. They whited out of their police report down there at Marconi and Spring. Like, literally, I watched them pull white out of the glove box and take that out of the police report.
The cocaine.
Yes.
Huh.
Yeah. It was wild. 2005 was wild times, man.
So now it's just like magically disappeared off the inventory
Yeah,
list.
like, it's kind of like, what, cocaine?
Yeah.
And so,
Wow.
I mean, looking back on it, super
Blessing
solid.
for you.
Yeah, super
Yeah,
solid.
yeah, blessing
Thank
for you. Thank
You know, my daughter's mom was pregnant with our oldest daughter too. So I'm like going to jail the first time. I'm young. I've heard these war stories about the workhouse.
Yeah,
Tell
let's
us,
talk
tell
about
us
workhouse,
about it. Because
man.
you're a bigger guy.
I wasn't then though. You got to think I'm
Oh, you're
cocaine
ate
addict
up.
at this
Yeah.
point in
You're
time.
ate up, yeah.
And you know, I thought I was the man. You know, I'm like this adult on the west side and this and that. Well, now I'm going
Big
to
boy
the,
jail.
The house, the workhouse sucks, dude.
What's it like? Because everybody we bring on that's been there talks about how it's one of the worst county jails in the United
Yeah.
States.
It is.
And we've heard that over and over. What was it like for you your first trip?
I was scared. I mean,
Yeah.
just hearing the stories leading up to it, I was scared. So I was kind of like, I was really reserved in there, and just like, you know, I went in with the expectation that like, dude, it's about to be wild. I'm about to get beat up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the way they process you in there is like, you come in on your charge, this and that, and they put you in like kind of a processing pod. So I was in IW9, it's I West 9. And then they take you to court and you get your charges and all this and that. And naturally, I'm in there on some misdemeanor warrants and a CCW charge, so I'm not getting sent upstairs. Upstairs is like all the felony stuff. You know, like you hear people getting thumped on up there through the floor. And
Yep.
It's wild. It's wild, but it's super dirty. It's just a nasty place. I mean, jail's not to be appealing, but I've been in much better jails. I mean, that place sucks.
Yeah.
And I think my first time in Arizona, like a week and a half. My dad posted bond. My mom told me-
Damn, Dad came through.
Yeah, well, so my
Right on.
bond was $75 on those fucking
okay.
warrants, right? And I called my mom. I'm like, hey, man,
Mom.
$75.
Yeah,
I got
I'm
every
good.
reason I need you to bond me out. And she's like, her exact words were, you got yourself in there, get yourself out of there.
Ah, Mom.
And hung up on me. So she wasn't going. Dad did.
Looking back, do you think she was right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
My mom is a professor of tough love. And that probably added to saving my life.
Yeah.
And realistically, where she learned it from was doing it with my dad.
Mm.
You know, I used to be so
Yep.
mad that I couldn't get over on her.
Yep.
You know, but she already been.
She
through-
knows all
She
the
been through the
tricks.
ringers
Yeah,
with
she
the creator
knows
of
the
me.
tricks,
You
yeah.
know.
Yep.
So, but yeah, so dad posted bond, this and that, whatever. Got out of there. But getting back out to the streets, you know, now I'm like the first one in my friend group.
Now you got some street cred.
I went to jail.
Yeah, I went
you
to
know
jail,
what I mean?
baby.
I'm like, ha, 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 you ain't. And, you know, everybody's, oh, what is it like? And you tell some catfish stories, you glamorize some shit.
Yeah.
You know, I will say though, it did put some fear in me. I got out, and like everybody I was friends with were like, oh, here, you want some lines in this? I was like, no, I don't want any more cocaine. Like, you don't. The bullet I just dodged.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, like
You got one hell of a get out of jail free card.
I've got a child on the way. I'm 18, and I should have just got a felony for this. And felony was like terrifying back then.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm just now getting in trouble
it's
and just go ahead and grab a felony real quick.
Right on to the straight to the felony.
So I was like, no, I don't want it. And I didn't do any, man. We did have an ecstasy party when I got out, and yeah, right. And I used to hate to come down off ecstasy, but I loved doing it. And I would usually do cocaine coming down off ecstasy, you know, kind of
Equal it out.
get me back to feeling level instead of like
Right.
chewed up spit wad.
Yeah.
But I wasn't gonna do no cocaine, and that was the first time I ever dibbled and dabbled in opiates. It's 2005. And before we did the ecstasy, there was a guy there, and he had 3 perk 5s he was trying to sell. And I didn't know nothing about them. And I asked one of my buddies, like, will they help with the come down? And he was like,
Oh,
absolutely.
yeah.
This
Oh,
is
yeah.
exactly what you
This
got.
is what you need, buddy.
I was like, cool. I bought all 3. And we came down the next morning. Birds are chirping, and I'm like, there's that feeling.
yeah.
Oh.
Ugh. And I was like, oh, yeah. And I pulled those out. And I looked over at my one buddy. I said, can you snort these? Because I like doing cocaine. You know? And he's like, absolutely.
Fuck yeah, you can.
And, dude, I railed all 3 of those perk 5s.
Did you really?
Yeah.
That's a lot of powder.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
it
that's
is.
like a whole mountain of powder.
I would like
bud.
to say I just did it.
You just
real-
powered
no,
through it now.
but I got through it.
Yeah, because there's Tylenol on those.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They were the 543s.
Oh, yeah.
I remember them. Dude, walking to where I was going to lay my head after that party, I fell in love. I fell in love. Like, that was the best feeling I'd felt yet. You know?
I remember having the exact same experience. I would get wasted when I went to college for 2 quarters, but I would get wasted, and then the next morning I could do like a line of an Oxy 80.
And
Oh, my God.
you're
And I'm
golden.
100%.
Golden. The world
Ready
is
to go.
fine. Yeah.
And you know what? It presented itself so magically, too, because, like, I just spent $6 and fell in love, you know?
Yeah.
And it's lasting.
Yeah.
I started feeling like Superman. Following that jail stay, you know, I kind of realized I needed to settle down a little bit. I talked mom into letting me move back in there. I got a kid on the way. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Shit's been wild. I'm really trying to get it together. Got a little temp service job, this and that. Little does she know, though, there's like a opiate addiction just birthing.
Getting
inside.
ready to
Yeah, just
Yeah.
on the
blossom, if
Yeah,
you will.
fucking stove
like,
warming up.
That's it now. Like, I don't want to buy anything else. I want to buy that. And so that's what it was. And I started buying like bi-weekly supplies because we were getting paid bi-weekly. I didn't have any bills. This was back when like Boost Mobile was the thing. So I think my Boost Mobile bill was like $40, you know, and I'm living at mom's house. It's cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, God, that was just, I look at those times kind of like the glory days of those dark times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's like new, magical.
Still
just
like that.
relatively
yeah.
cheap.
Honeymoon phase.
I always
Yeah.
find it weird when people say that they never had fun in addiction at any point. I feel like you're lying if you say that.
Yo,
Dude,
yeah.
I had a lot of fun.
I did. I got a lot of wild ass stories. I lived like a rock star, man.
Yeah.
I mean, we got to think with all this right now, we're only like 18.
It ends bad.
Yeah,
it
it
always
does.
ends
Yeah.
bad, but like
Yeah.
there were fun times.
Yeah. I mean, you brought up OxyContin just a minute ago, and that was like, that shit was wild. OxyContin, that changed my life too. It was like when I didn't think my life could change,
And then
it changed. It's just like, oh my God.
it's crazy because you have these perk sets that have these Tylenols, and you have somebody's like, I have this, which is way
Yeah.
smaller, easier to snort, no Tylenol.
Yeah. The
Like-
first time I did a piece of OxyContin, my pill buddies that I worked with, he was getting them from the guy across the street, and he had one, and I'm like, what is that? I know that's not what I got. You know what I mean? What is that? And he was like, here, I'll give you a little bit. And he cut me out this little itty bitty line. And I remember I looked at him and said, that ain't going to do shit.
That's not going to do the trick,
like,
sir.
I'm used to doing 4 of these 5s at once. They're huge. You know what I mean? What is that? He's like, just do it. And I did it. And it was like 5-10 minutes later, I was like, I need one of those.
Yeah.
And I used to like break them up and like portion them out because they were so strong and shit. And then very fast it got to like I'm doing 2, 3, 4, 5 of these a day.
Yep.
I got no breaks, man. Like everything I do.
Especially 05, that shit was cheap.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
man. 05, 06, you know, I think in 07 they started getting up there around like 50.
Yep.
50 a pill.
Yep.
But it's so wild to go from like somebody who had never done opiates, and then like a year later you have all these connects and you have all these preferences and you have this super crazy tolerance, you know, and that kind of funness starts wearing off because you realize you're trapped.
Yeah.
And this is, you know, we're talking like pre-Suboxone and all that.
Yep.
Like that wasn't a thing, you know.
When's your first encounter with like the withdrawal?
So I was at work one day, and my oldest daughter was already born. Me and my daughter's mom were both on the pills. I did more because I worked and she didn't. And she, you know, it's the addict mentality.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm gonna go buy these. I'm gonna tell you we only bought 2, but I'm gonna get 6, and
of
you're gonna
course.
get 1,
You're
and I'm gonna get
getting
1.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Fuck yeah.
But it just systematically lined up that you know, I think I went into work on a Saturday, and systematically lined up that like didn't have the funds to really
Get what you need.
get what I needed for Saturday. And I was like, well, whatever. It's just, you know, I'm just not going to be high today, I guess. And we're working. It's a warehouse job. And I'm like sweating to death. I got cold chills. I got shakes. You know what I mean? I remember telling my buddy, like, dude, I think I'm fucking sick. Like, I got the flu. Like, this is terrible. I didn't go to bed like this. And he's like, you do anything today? And I was like, nah, man. He's like, oh, you're sick. I was like, I just told you that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I didn't know what that meant. And he's like, no, like, you need to do some stuff.
You need this shit.
Yeah.
You're physically dependent.
Yeah, and that was the turning point, you know, because I was like, well, I don't got it. He broke me off. And I was like, oh, my God, I'm all the way better.
It's a miracle. I'm better.
I'm
now.
all the way better. And
Dude, that fear of getting sick, when that takes over,
you premeditated.
you're fucked.
And once it happened one time,
Yeah.
then you're.
Oh, the fear
doom
is
of-
there.
yeah.
And, like, I wasn't even full blown. Like, say, I probably got up at, like, 7 o'clock that day, and we're at work is 10 o'clock. You know what I mean? I went to bed high. So it's like, that wasn't even full blown. That was just the tiptoe
Just, yeah.
into it. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it was scary. It was scary. And I'd like to say that day right there kind of kicked me off in a different direction. Criminal, mind you, I'd already been to jail, but I wasn't of criminal mindset yet. I don't feel like criminal mindset became present because now it's like I've got to do whatever I can to not let that happen. On top of
I need
everything.
the money for these pills.
Absolutely,
Period.
absolutely. And I'm gonna bounce checks. I'm a steal. I'm a whatever. And it did, man. It did, and it created a downward. You know, lost my first apartment. Fucking went back to couch surfing. But it turned me reckless. Like that. Those OxyContin specifically took complete precedence. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't care that I didn't have a job anymore. I could go out and steal some shit or write some checks and figure out a way to make some money. And that's all that mattered. You know, I bounced checks as a down payment on a car and then kept the car until,
Oh, wow.
I mean, yeah, dude, like, it was wild. I had a car dealership call me up. You know, back in these times, it was way different, too. There was infomercials on at like 4 o'clock in the morning. I'd be up high and be like, you need a new car?
Yes, I
Call
do.
this number. And da-da-da-da. So I call this number at 4 o'clock in the morning. They call me back the next day. They're like, hey, you need a car. I'm like, I do. I do. Like, come on in. So I go and I test drive. And they're like, what do you think? And I'm like, I like.
Cut you a check.
They're like, down payment. I'm like, I don't have any cash. They say, you got a check? I'm like, I do.
As a matter of fact,
Here you
I
go.
do.
And like, now I'm mobile. So we could really operate.
Yeah, that helps
you know?
a lot.
And I did, man. It was a weird cusp, that vehicle situation. I did that at two different dealerships. And I would just wait for like the temp tag to expire. and I'd steal somebody else's temp tag.
Yep, the
and
sticker on there.
I would cut their date, the old
Oh,
cardboard
yeah,
temp
yeah,
tags, cut their date out of their temp tag, and toothpaste it over my date. So it
Wow.
still came back to my car, but the
Okay.
date, you know.
Okay.
And I got away with that shit for a little while. Got caught with that. The cops didn't impound it. It was super, whatever reason. So I stole somebody's license plates
I
from
just
like
went
the
full-on
next
license
building
plate.
over. Yeah, just like I need a license plate. There's one.
Yeah.
Need that. Now it's mine. That's a felony.
I was gonna. I was
Yeah.
no. I was gonna ask you that.
That is a
because
felony.
I did not know for sure if
I didn't
that
either. I just
was.
figured this
What
was
do they call that?
Yeah.
Felony
What is that? Do you
Oh.
know?
What was it called? Because I ended up getting hemmed up on that.
I figured it had to be a felony.
It's a
but
F5.
I
forget
figured.
the technical term of it, but it's yeah.
Aren't you taking a car at least that matches your car?
No,
No,
like
just got
I had a
points.
Kia Spectra and I stole a Chevy Impala.
Just
license
didn't
plate.
give a
It was
shit
just
at
like the
this point.
closest. It was literally like the next building over. There was just a driveway
There was a
separating my car
plate
and their
and you were
car.
just like-
Yeah, and I'll just like take it out of the back windshield when I came home and throw it back in when I left and whatever,
Jesus.
bro. I need this, you know.
Yeah.
Thinking about right now, not.
Not. Yeah.
So yeah, got hemmed up on that. They rolled by and they seen it up in the windshield. I was living in a different spot. Cops rolled by. I was living on the hilltop. My first apartment was in Lincoln Village, and they seen it. They ran the tag for some reason. I don't know. And they realized it was a stolen license plate, and they waited down the street for me to leave, which was like another
That's cute.
2 or 3 hours.
Yeah, nice of them.
Yeah.
And that was that, man. They got me on that one.
As soon as you pulled out,
Yep. Like I'm driving. It's a one-way street, so I got to go that way.
You have to go that way.
And I see one of my dudes from the neighborhood, and he's like, "Hey, man, them cops is down there waiting on somebody right there." And I was like, "Oh, cool, man.
Sucks to be
They're
them.
waiting on me."
Yeah.
Sucks to be them.
But yeah, man, impounded my car. They ended up going back to the repo lot or whatever because they finally were able to find it. You know, I've been flying under the radar with it. Had to talk to detectives and this and that. And I told them, like, yeah, you got me. I stole it. You know, you got me with the stolen license plate.
yeah, what, dead to rights.
Wasn't me.
Nothing.
Yeah.
I don't know where it came
Right.
from.
Never seen that before in my life.
And like, dude, for some reason I would do these felonies and just keep skating away without them. Like, ended up getting that dropped to like I think a M2 or 3. One of my buddies was a really decent sized drug dealer. He had connections with some people at the time in treatment organizations that doctored me up a nice letter that said that I was an active IOP or whatever it was back then. You know,
Make
they
it look
presented
good.
that to Judge Lynch and got it knocked and no probation and this and that. It was pretty cool. I was like, dude.
Jeez.
So I just keep
The
skating.
guest
Yeah.
we just had on prior had Lynch too, and Lynch gave him 3 chances.
Damn.
You know what? I heard some people talked really bad about her. I got nothing good to say
I heard
about her.
nothing but bad about her.
That's all
Like,
I've
when I
heard
was-
is
yeah,
bad.
nothing
It's
but
very
bad.
intimidating though, going in front of a felony judge and her
Her
name
last
is
name
Lynch.
is
Her
Lynch.
name rings bells in jail.
Yeah.
Like you hear about her license plate says 25 to life, and
Yeah.
how you're going to prison
Yeah.
if you. Like
Dude, she
Interesting.
Showed love. She showed love on me, and I think I showed up tripping on acid to that court date. Yeah, it was wild. Courthouse on acid is not
My in God's
advisable.
name.
Yeah, that would be.
Yeah, I'm
that'd be
wild.
this is the worst
nightmare.
time
I'm
to take
wild.
acid.
Well, me and my buddies were partying the night before, and we're like a quarter way into this acid trip, and then I remembered, like, oh shit, I got court in the morning. Yeah.
And then you go to court, you're tripping balls.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
God,
9 o'clock
dude.
in the morning, just, you know, here we are.
Holy shit!
Yeah, dude. I've done some living.
I don't know, man. That would be.
You want to talk about being weird,
terrifying.
bro? It's
Yeah.
super terrifying. I was in an elevator going up to the court floor with CPD in the elevator. You know what I mean?
Oh, dude.
Fucking freaking
Tripping
out.
balls,
But
man.
Jesus.
hey, bro, we're in it. What are we gonna do?
Yeah.
You know, pull
And
it together.
so she dropped it down to a misdemeanor.
Yeah. Paid a fine, this and that. Got up out of there,
That was
man.
that.
And so with each one of these things that happened, man, I started feeling bigger and badder and bigger and badder. You know.
Like untouchable.
Yeah, dude. I keep doing this stuff that's
And
getting
definitely
away
nothing
with
illegal.
really happens.
And I just kind of keep
Yeah.
Yeah.
whatever. But now I didn't have a car anymore and this and that. I've always been kind of a people person, and I think that deals with the insecurity aspect that I was speaking about earlier too.
People pleaser. Or just a
Chameleon, like a chameleon.
Okay.
You know,
Yep.
I can blend in
Yep.
to multiple different environments or
Wherever.
atmospheres. And like I said, my one buddy who got me that paperwork doctored up or whatnot, he was a really big cocaine dealer. And I was buying pills off him and shit. And I was down there one day, and he was just like, man, everybody on the streets called me Crego. I go by my last name all my life. He's like, Crego, I really like you, man. He was like, I like how you carry yourself. I like how you move. I like your personality. He's like, you want to like get up out of here? I'm like, cool, sure. Where are we going, Dad? And I just like instantly moved in with him, and then he taught me how to really sell cocaine. Like,
Oh, so you moved in with this guy?
Yep. Like I was just going down there to get Oxy. You know what I mean?
And
And
then-
now here we are in this brand new house, and you know he's
It's appealing.
Are you cooking it up like crack,
no,
or are you just selling
no,
powder?
selling soft. 2006.
Damn.
You know.
Did you look up to him?
Yeah. I mean, he was in the street level mindset, and
He kind of like had it together in some weird way.
he had a brand new
and-
house that he just had built. He had 3 cars. You know.
Is he also using too?
So everybody was doing pain pills back
Okay.
then. Yeah, he wasn't doing cocaine, pain pills and smoking weed. I wasn't doing cocaine then. We were just, you know, he taught me the real ropes of selling cocaine. On a much different.
What are the real ropes?
Yeah,
of
I'd say what's
Um,
cocaine 101?
break it down. Like, what does that mean?
So like, anybody can go buy like a minimal amount of cocaine, you know, like 8-ball or
Yep.
something, and
Yep.
be like, hey, you know, I'll sell you a 20, this and that.
Sure.
But like when you see like when you see, you know, a 9 in a split or like a half a brick getting
Okay.
pressed into a slab,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean, and then broken down into like,
We're talking big boy.
yeah, man, money and you know, guns now, and you know, just you start getting that God complex, you know. And I had done peddling, this and that, you know,
Sure.
but like that was like,
Not big boy shit.
this
Yeah.
is exciting
Yeah.
too.
Fuck
Like,
I've never seen a brick of coke before.
well, I've never seen one just
Yeah.
right there, and we could do that.
Wow.
And that was, I was like, wow, this is hustling. and
Yeah.
living, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? And that's, so boom, 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 boom. And then rode around like that with him for a little while. And he got some new girlfriend and this and that. Me and him kind of ended up falling out, and he ended up falling off. I mean, the streets takes everything it gives to you back tenfold, you know? So that's just a quick progression of him. But it created another level of hustle in my mentality. It really did. Like I was, another doorway was opened, you know? And then the opiates were just always more a necessity to people than the cocaine. And
Oh,
this period of
Yeah,
time.
cocaine is fun to have. Opiates, you
Well,
have to
have
have.
to.
At that
you
point,
have to.
At that point in time, a lot of the people that was doing cocaine was like old heads.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
if I'm 20, they're 45.
Right.
You know what I mean? But the opiates and the my generation and my crowd
Yep.
was opiates.
Mm-hmm.
So even though me and him fell off and cocaine, you know,
I mean, OxyContin up an entire generation.
it was
yeah.
super wild. It was super wild.
Like-
it did. It did.
It destroyed
yeah.
a generation.
Thank you, Purdue Pharma. You know.
Yes.
But so I turned into this full-time just middleman. I had different connects that all had prescription painkillers, and
Okay.
I had plenty of clientele that needed them and knew that I could always get them. And so that's how I just made a living. And I did all that with my main goal in mind, to get down to Florida. We're talking
Oh,
like
yeah, the old pill
2009,
mills. Yeah, the
2010
pill
now.
mills.
And so like I was like, as long as I just stay in this rut, you know, heaven is Florida, and I'll figure out how to get there. And women.
Oh, yeah.
It was just a wild time. It was a wild time. But yeah, I did all that with the main goal. Now, mind you, I've got 2 kids at this point in time now. Main goal was just to get to Florida. I didn't give a f- about anything else. I wanted to get high every day. I wanted to make money to get high every day. I wanted to feel needed, and I wanted to get to Florida.
And where the kids at? Like, are they with family?
They were living with their mom. Me and her mom, we were together for like 5 years. We did not have a good relationship. We made 2 daughters out of those 5 years. And you can imagine two active drug addicts in a relationship.
Yeah, trying to raise kids.
Way too young having kids. I was 19 when we had my oldest. My oldest just turned 18 in December. And then so I was like 21 when we had my middle daughter. I got 3 kids now. But yeah, it's just kind of like I came to the determination selfishly and kind of smartly at the same time. You know, all this chaos and shit followed me around. So I just kind of self-excluded myself out
Yeah.
of my daughter's life at the point in time because I mean, key points in situations. You know, I'd already been shot at for the first time in my life by this point. I'd people over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I got a street name.
Dangerous things.
Yeah, chaos is following me because I love chaos.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I found it better that, hey man, probably shouldn't just be super active.
Yeah.
Because then people could put one and one together, and if they really want to, you know. So I wasn't. I missed out on a lot with my daughters, but yeah, man, that was the main goal to get to Florida.
Get to Florida.
Spring break of 2010, I finally got to Florida.
You made it.
Made it to the promised land.
Yeah, it was wild how it worked back then. You got like what you call sponsors.
Yeah. So they're paying for you to go.
These are people with money that are of like-minded. They just have more money than you do. They're getting high. They'll take you down there. They'll pay for everything. You give them everything, and then they give you some money.
Yeah, they throw you a bone.
Yeah, absolutely. So my first trip was like the offer was you'll make $500, and I was like, I knew that was a low ball offer, but my plotting mindset was like, all I got to do is go down there. I'm gonna figure this out right now.
Yeah.
I get to see the ropes.
And once you do
I
it
make
once,
$500.
Yeah.
Cool. So we did. We jumped in a Chevy Avalanche on 28s with TVs in it.
God.
And we went to Tampa, Florida.
And is it easy as they say? Like you literally just walk in, sign some paperwork.
Okay, so the original pill mill that we were going to was called Tampa Total Health, and it was on Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard in Tampa.
Red
Florida.
flag number one.
was.
Red flag number one.
And so you drive down there, and I had no idea what to expect. You know, we're on our way down there, and we're just whatever, man, road trip. I had never been to Florida in my life, so this is double
It's like
exciting.
a cool vacation.
This is double exciting.
I'm
This
winning.
is sick, yeah.
So, and it was mapped out. We got there like 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning as the clinic was supposed to be opening. You know, opening hour was supposed to be 9 o'clock, but it's a whole different world down there. It's a whole different world. So you pull up at 8 o'clock, and there's already a line from the front door down to the corner of the building, running around and out back, and there's just people sitting on the ground. They've been there.
Camped out like Black Friday.
None of them are from Florida.
Damn.
None of them. Kentucky,
Midwest, yep.
Kentucky,
West
Ohio,
Virginia.
West Virginia.
Yep.
And like some of them been there since midnight. Shit, the people all the way. It's like when video games would drop.
Yeah.
You know, game systems would drop. Motherfuckers would be
or
at
the new
GameStop.
iPhones back in the day.
Here we are at the pill mill,
Damn.
and it's supposed to open at 9. Well, maybe not open until like 11 o'clock.
Because they don't give. You're there regardless.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
They know they got
know
you.
that.
Yeah.
And the doctor, the prescribing doctor at that pain clinic, he made a lot of news later on in the future from this time. But he didn't show up till like 1 o'clock. You know what I mean?
Damn.
He just come in whenever. But in retrospect, he's there till 4 in the morning. Because that's how many people were coming through this clinic. $300 a head,
But
all
times
cash,
all day.
times 400 or 500 people a day.
That's insane.
You know, it was. It was. And so, like, dude, I don't think I got down at the clinic that first trip until 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning type shit.
So what do you go and tell them when you walk in? Is it like
So
your back
it was
hurts?
like this. If you were a new patient, you go in. Hey, I'm a new patient. I need to sign up. They're like, okay, bet. You got an MRI? You're like, no. They're
Okay.
like, all right, we're gonna prescribe you an MRI.
Damn.
So pay your new patient fee. Fill out this paperwork. You bring it back up.
They send you down the street to get an MRI.
You go down the street and around the corner, about 4 miles away. Go and lay in this MRI, and
Was it one of the ones that was set up in like a trailer?
that came later.
Okay.
When the first time I went, it wasn't there yet. But
Okay.
yes, that came later, and that was the same pain clinic. And so we're actually over at this MRI place. You know what I mean? But they're in cahoots. They
Yeah,
know what's
they
up.
know.
So you take this MRI, and whether there's anything wrong with you or not, there's something wrong with you.
Do you know this at the time, or are you like, man, the scheme is on? Like they're gonna know.
Somebody pretty much told, like, hey, just
Like don't worry about it.
and they tell you too when you go in, just like, hey, lay still.
It's a part of the procedure.
They're like, lay still.
Yeah.
Okay, don't move. And you're like, all right. And then, MRI's done. You go back to the pain clinic and you wait an ungodly amount of hours, maybe 10, 12 hours before you get to see now because you fall behind everybody else. It's been
Yeah,
regular,
you're
and that's
back in-
an abundance of people.
Ugh.
And you get your scripts at like 2 in the morning and you get picked up, you go to the hotel and you're like, God, this day has sucked. Like, I just came from Columbus to Tampa, which is a 12-hour drive, and I just spent 16 hours at this pain clinic, and now my day's over. And guess what? First things, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the
You
morning,
gotta get
we're
up and
getting up
fill
because
the
we're going to the
script.
pharmacy,
Yeah.
and we're getting the hell out of here.
Yeah.
You know? But
What was your first haul? How many pills did you pull down from that?
that doctor wrote me 270 perk 30s.
270
270 perk 30s.
Some Xanax, I bet.
90 Xanny bars.
Yep.
2 milligrams
Bars?
of
The bars,
Yep, 90
baby.
somas.
Damn.
And 90 OC 80s.
Golly.
Yes.
That's a hell of a haul, man.
Dude, my devil horns grew.
Oh,
I would have got a boner.
Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely, dude.
holding that in my
Absolutely.
hand. Like,
So
I
it's
am
like,
set.
Now I learned all this, and I have an MRI too. It's on file. I can pull the file
You're good.
anytime.
Yeah.
Yep.
We got up out of there. We went to the pharmacy the next day, and it was a very chaotic trip.
And
It
it's
was,
legal.
And how much
it's in
does
your name.
all that cost, right? So you have the doctor, you have the pills, which are
give or take, an individual person, travel expenses, and everything is probably about $1,500 at
Yeah.
one time. $1,500 total
God,
trip.
man, that's insane.
But yeah, we're heading back, man, and we got pulled over on 75 in Georgia on the way back, and the driver was doing like 95, and that's why they pulled us over. And the people, I was in the front seat. My buddy was driving. And I don't know why he's driving so fast, like whatever. And then the person who paid, and his girlfriend and the other person were in the back seat,
Oh, God.
and they were rolling up a blunt.
Oh boy.
And like so, there was a semi, and we're in the fast lane. And we go blowing by the semi, but the Georgia State PD was over here. You know what I mean? He caught us.
Yeah.
We couldn't see him.
Yeah,
Then we
semi.
did. So they got the people in the back seat rolling up the blunt, would throw it out the window, and it blew back in, all over everybody in the back seat. So when they come up and pull us over,
Just snowing weed.
they're like, "Hey man, going a little fast and this and that." And I've got all these pills in my lap, like, you know, like look, I'm proud. They got my name on them. You know?
Yeah, I'm good.
We're good.
My insurance
They see
policy.
these bits of weed all over the shirts and the people in the back seat, so they pull everybody out.
Oh man.
Plot twist was we had like a dime of weed left, and the guy who paid for everybody going on the trip, the sponsor, he was like, "Look, I can't get in trouble." He's like, "I got all the money. It's my vehicle, this and that. If I go to jail, everything's." Threw me the weed, and I was like, I told him, I said, "Listen, if I go to jail, get me the out. Don't leave me in Georgia."
Right.
And
I'll take this charge.
now, mind you, I had just met this dude 2 days before.
Yeah.
So I'm putting a lot of,
Faith in this guy.
and I took it and I shoved it down in my sock, man.
I'd have ate that.
Down there like, "You guys got any weed in there?" And everyone's like, "No." He's like, "What's that all over y'all's shirts?" And they're all like, "Oh shit." And I'm like, "Oh shit." And so they're like, "All right, we're gonna search the truck. Anything in there?" I was like, "No, there is no weed in that truck." I knew it was in my sock.
Yeah.
You know, and he's like, "Well, I'm pat you down." I said, "Okay." And listen, them Georgia cops play a little different. Like I'm very over time I had been very cool, calm, collective in dealing with police.
Knowing how to
Get out
talk
of
to
shit,
cops,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
This
Sure.
and that. And he's like, "All right, spread your legs." I spread my legs. And I was wearing Dickie pants and Jordans. I remember it. And like I had the Dickies kind of like cuffed up at the bottom and whatnot. And I stuffed that weed down in my sock in my shoe, pretty far deep. And he didn't pat my legs down, pat my arms down, nothing. That motherfucker reached right in my sock and pulled that
Just
bag of
went
weed
straight
out.
for the
Wow!
kill. Went straight for it.
I was like, "Oh."
That was fast.
Damn, sir.
And
Yeah, damn, sir.
I think I said something smart ass too, like, "Well, I told you there was none in the truck." You know?
I didn't lie.
Hey, where I'm from, Columbus, Ohio, this is a ticket, and we're just gonna skate
You're
down the
going
road.
home.
Yeah.
You know? No, not in Georgia. Arrest you.
For weed.
Oh,
And I'm like, "Yo, what's going on? This is
my
a ticket where I'm from." They're like, "It's a
God.
ticket here too, but you go to jail. It's a
Oh.
Commonwealth state.
Oh,
Commonwealth
yeah.
state."
What about the 900 pills that are on you?
I mean, at that point
They're
in
in
time,
your
it was-
name, right?
Yeah,
Prescribed.
yeah. Dude, we had 4 scripts in that. Four of the 5 people in that truck had scripts,
It was all legal.
but they didn't touch them.
Yeah.
Didn't touch them.
They can't.
No.
So, all right, you go to jail. Do the pills come with you?
No.
Oh, man.
Nope. They left them in the vehicle.
Oh, bud.
And I'm like, "Hey, man, I need you.
To get my shit out the car.
They need to follow us to the jail.
Yeah.
Like, I need to get up out of here. How much is this ticket? $1,300 ticket for 2 grams of weed.
For 2 grams of
2
weed.
grams of weed. And a $75 arrest fee. $1,375
It's ridiculous.
to go to
2
jail.
grams of weed.
Yeah. And the jail, we were in southern Georgia. It was like out in the middle of the woods. It was,
Ugh.
I mean, it was really nice compared to the workhouse, but it was just like, I'd never seen anything like that before. Like, they didn't even really have people, like, locked up. There's just
Just like
people in jail free roaming. There was, like, a sheriff deputy that was, like, got 2 teeth
Like
and
fucking,
types with 2 fingers booking
Andy
me
Griffith.
in. It was wild. It was wild. I'm on my cell phone in the jail. It was wild. But they did. They came and got me out. They kept their word.
Damn.
Big gamble on my part.
Yeah,
Wow.
good.
Because
Just left
and that guy is like he could have bailed out. He has your drugs. Or he doesn't need you anymore.
Absolutely.
Man.
He could have left your ass.
Yeah, but no, he kept his word. And yeah, so that was my first Florida trip, man. I went
Wow,
to jail the very
buddy.
first time. It was like, so now I feel a little cooler again.
Yeah. Now I went to out of state
Got
jail.
picked up on the way back.
Yeah.
Some big boy charges.
But that turned into
So how long did you stay in jail in Georgia before you got out and
like
headed back to Ohio?
6 hours.
Oh, it was
Like
quick.
literally, they followed us to the jail.
Okay.
Figured out where to go get money orders and shit from. And
Yeah.
got me the fuck up out of there.
Okay.
That's yeah.
And that was that, man. Got home, successful trip. I learned it. And me and my buddy who was driving, that got us pulled over, 2 weeks later, we left and went back and he put himself through the doctor, and he didn't have clientele, but I did.
Yeah.
So I now have a new place to live with him, and now we're like a team, you know? And we got back. We actually made a vacation this time. We went down there for like a week. He didn't use pills ever.
Oh.
Never has. I did.
The
So I
best.
spent like most of the time down there sick because we didn't go to the doctor until the last day of the trip. And it was not enjoyable.
Yeah. Not a
enjoyable.
vacation.
But that's how that started, man. And I took, the hustle and the readily availableness that I'd put myself into. 2010, 11, 12, I was a really active pharmaceutical dealer.
Damn.
2010, I thought, I will never work again a day in my life.
Yeah.
I don't have to.
And
I
it's-
don't have to.
You're winning.
And it got to the point where like I was just going on my own now, and I would just fly down there and stay down there and figure out ways for things to move around. And it was a whole lifestyle, man. Here in Columbus, I didn't have a place that I quote unquote called home anymore for real. Everybody wanted me around. I was like the party favorite, So why do I need I don't need a pay rent anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could literally go into these people's houses and shit and kind of be like, hey, I want to sleep in your bed. And I mean, whatever.
Okay. Yeah. Here you go.
Yeah. And I just jumped around like that, man. It was super free. I lived out of a duffel bag. You know what I mean? None. I should have responsibilities, but this is my life. I thought I was like thought I was a Scarface of the West Side.
Yeah.
But with all that was glamorous at the time comes very large negativity or negative aspects. You know what I mean? Like I said, I got shot at the first time, like 2007 or 8. Just some street beef. Got my car shot up while I was in it. Overly terrifying, but also overly exciting.
Yeah.
Adrenaline is the second time I got shot at. A guy that I had known, but not super tight, through association of people, popped up at one of my party spots that I was at. And he remembered me. I remembered him. We did some politicking, shooting the shit. And he was like, I got these when you ain't got them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Blah, 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 blah. And it was a really good price. It was a really good flippable price for in between when I went back down south.
Yeah.
And I had some people coming from New York doing some things. So it was like, I already knew I didn't tell him that, but I knew in my head that was getting ready to happen. So I'm like, all right, bet. I just fixed the problem. You see how that manifested? Well, he was setting hooks, and he's setting hooks on me. He had an agenda. And so like a day and a half later, this came to fruition, and I called him up like, hey, need to come and see you and get what we talked about, blah, blah, blah. He's like, all right, what time? I'm like, probably 4 hours, I'm waiting on them to get in. And they pick me up, boom, boom, boom. He tells me where to come, and it's on the west side. And I know the west side like the back of my hand. So he's standing at this intersection of this street and this side street, and it's just south of Sullivan. It was over on Oakley and Springmont. And he's standing under a streetlight. It's nighttime. I'll never forget. He's standing under a streetlight. So I see him, and I have people I'm with pull over, and I got out, and I told them, I was like, listen, no matter what happens, don't let me out of your sight. Like, if I go up here and meet him and we walk,
You go
pull around. You know what I mean? I had a feeling. And so I got up there and greeted him. We dapped up, this and that. And he's like, all right, come on, let's go. And I'm like, cool. And we start walking down this Springmont, the side street. And I know that I'm out of view now. So I kind of like check back nonchalantly, and I can see the headlights coming. So I'm like, all right, they're moving.
Yeah.
Up. They're doing what I asked them to. And then we get to, so we're walking down a road like this, and there's an alley that branches off right here. And we get to that alley, and he starts busting right into the alley. And it's nighttime. You know, it's summertime. Nighttime. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And I remember I said, hey, man, and I'm not going to say his name. But I said, you ain't walking me into a setup, are you? You know? He's like, oh, come on, Crego. I know your kids, man. I know.
I'd never.
Yeah, never would I, man. We go back. And I'm like, all right, Mo. So we start walking down this dark alley. And that's out of character. I should have known better. But I'm like checking back, and I can see those headlights gleaming over the alley at the end of it. So I'm like, all right, they're close. You know what I mean? My peoples are close. We get like halfway down this alley, about a half a block. And I'm like, man, where are we going, dude? He's like, all right, here, I'm about to call him. And I shit you not, he pulled a cordless house phone out of his pocket.
Damn.
And he hit the talk button. And when it made that beep, 3 guys jumped out of the bushes. One of them had an AK.
Damn, AK?
Yeah, and he racked it. Crack, crack. And he said, don't move, white boy. And when I heard the rustle of them coming out of the bushes, I'd already jumped back create distance between me and him. And when he started drawing up, I took off running, dude. Like, no, I'm not standing here in this alley. So I'm zigzagging.
With the AK?
Yes, I'm zigzagging. And dude is just, trying to kill me over the money.
How much money are we talking? Like a grand?
Not a lot, bro. We're talking probably less than $3 grand.
Jeez, man.
It's just how it was. I call it Jack Boy season. 2010 to 2012 on the west side was Jack Boy season. And I mean, he's shooting at me. And I have gun knowledge. I started shooting when I was 12 years old. Okay. A very good gun safety, all the things. My dad did teach me that too. So party, sell drugs, be sneaky, and gun safety. But I knew that if I'm a bigger size dude. If I run straight down this alley for this half a block, I'm getting hit.
Yeah.
So I'm zigzagging. And dude, I mean, it's like kind of like in the movies.
Are you hearing like
whistles by?
Seeing them spark off the fucking alley ground. There's the alley dead end into a cross street. Now, mind you, it didn't continue over. So there's a house here. I'm watching the house get hit. Right? And I know that like my people are at the end of this alley. I can see the headlights.
Yeah, I gotta
They're not blocking the alley, but they're like right here. You know, and so I just gotta get out of this alley. And I'm zigzagging. And I get out of the alley and I run around the driver's side and I run around the back side. It was a Jeep Cherokee. And I get in the back seat and I said, do you have your thing? And they said, yeah. I said, give it to me. And I was like, and then drive. And so as we drove across the alley, I'm shooting back, you know, because I know what they got.
Yeah.
I know what they got. And that was that. Up out of that situation, I never saw that guy again.
So you made it out with your own money?
Yeah. They didn't get nothing.
That's insane, brother. Dude.
So it's not the first time. That is the first time situation like that. Not the last, though. And then, I mean, I was super hyped up now. Like, oh. And I'm like, they didn't get me. We're good. You know, these people just came from New York.
Yeah, they're like, what the f is going on over here,
so,
man?
Right back into business mindset. Right back into business mindset. I gotta line up another connect real quick, and we gotta finish this. You know what I mean? And so we did. We did.
And you found somebody.
Then I got to go. I mean, I had.
Yeah.
Just make another phone call. I was just being greedy. These were $10 cheaper.
Easy.
Quote unquote. $10 a piece, but you know when you're doing volume, it's like and it's the point in time. It's the era. Even my guy I went to, who was my original guy, was like, well, I mean, I told him what happened, and his exact words were like, well, that's what you get for going to someone else. You did.
So like immediately after you're still going to do that.
Less than 20 minutes later, we finished. Less than 20 minutes later, we finished.
That is absolutely insane.
And then I got to take time and like process what happened.
Like what just happened.
Yeah, I went to a different buddy's house than where I was before all this started, and I've always looked at it as like a safe haven.
Yeah.
Like, never any traffic over there. He was kind of a hermit. He lived with his parents. His parents were like extended family of mine, and you know they always knew I was up to no good, but they cared for me.
Yeah.
So I went over there and hid out for like 2 days, and it was just kind of like, whoa, I almost died.
I bet.
You know,
yeah, like,
I just want to kind of be off the grid right
fashion.
now.
Almost died.
And I did, but you know that shit didn't slow me down none. Got over that, and it was time to go do the regular old thing again. And that was just. That was normal life, you know. Not too long after that, I got pistol whipped. on another very similar transaction in an alley on the west side. I just got back from Florida, flew from Tampa to Columbus. It was July 3rd, 2010. And I remember that because I was watching the fireworks go off as we were flying in. You know what I mean? Red, white, and boom.
Mm-hmm.
And landed at Port Columbus International, got picked up, got taken straight over to this house on the west side where I was a very regular at. I could stay there at any point in time. Mm-hmm. And I had a deal set up with my buddy there that, you know, I'm going to take a portion of what I just brought back and put you on credit so you can get your money up, and then we can go do this together. He was like a brother to me, you know, and he had different motives.
Meaning?
Got there, me, him, and our other dude were sitting there on the front porch chopping it up. You know, I busted some things out. We did what we do. Now, mind you, I just got back off a Florida trip, so I'm up for like 2 days now. Because down there, it's kind of strictly business. Like, and I'm turning and burning. So we get high. I'm already high. And he's like, all right, these people the next street over want to spend $800. I'm like, cool, get them here right now. You know? He's like, well, they're babysitting, so they can't leave. They're watching somebody's kids for them. So I told him we'd come over there. And it's literally the next street over and a block down. Like, and this is my hood. I'm very familiar with this. And this is like my right-hand man. Sure. You know what I mean? Me and him used to get drunk and beat the shit out of each other. I know he can fight. I can fight. We're good. This is regular business. And I'm like, all right, cool. So we come down off the front porch, and I go to bust a left to head up the street. And he's like, you know, we got beef with them dudes down there on the corner, and you got all that stuff on you. We should probably not walk by their house. And I'm like, smart thinking, dude.
This guy's looking out for me.
Yeah. So we take the alley. And
mother alley.
Yeah, right. You think I'd learn from the first one? Nah. So we take the alley, man, and we get like 4 houses down from his house, which his house is like my house. I know it like the back of my hand. Could still see everything in the house to this day. And this dude jumps out of the bushes. It's nighttime. It's July 3rd. He's wearing a Timberland sweater, the brown one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Jeans, a flat bill hat like I'm wearing, and he's got one of them like all black masks that cover your forehead and your face, but you just see the eyes. Not a ski mask, like they Velcro around.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and sometimes they'll have like air graffiti on them, but this was just plain black. Yep. And he jumps out the bushes, and that's what he's wearing: Timberland sweater, jeans, a hat, and a mask. And he's got
in the middle of the summer.
He's got a gun. And me and my buddy, who's adjusted, we take the alley. He was probably 8 feet in front of me because I'm working the phone. I just got back. It's like on and popping, and I'm high as hell. And I watch him jump out of these bushes, and I'm like, oh shit! And I'm like, oh! And my dude turns around and he pistol whips my dude. My dude falls. And I'm thinking like, dude, I've hit you way harder before.
Yeah.
And you didn't fall. Like, what the? And dude turns around on me and clocks me.
Where'd you get you?
Right here. And
temple.
Yeah, just
so out cold.
No.
No.
Hits me across the face with it. I don't think he turned it over. I think he just kind of got me with it. And I don't think he anticipated the distance between me and him, but like it didn't even put me on my heels. You know,
so just skimmed
I'm lit
by
up
you.
and now adrenaline's in.
Yeah.
And about this time, my other buddy's getting back up now, and he hits him again. He falls right back to the ground. I'm like, what are you doing? I just got hit.
Get up, dog.
I need you. And he turns around and hits me again. Boom. I'm like, oh, you son of a bitch. And I was bleeding. And I'm wearing gym shorts and a wife beater. And you can hear all these pills rattling around in my pockets. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, because I'm out here doing a little two-step shit. And I'm thinking, like, mother, you're lucky I just got off an airplane because I will gut you or shoot you back here. You know, you just caught me slipping. And he's trying to tell me, give me all your shit, give me all your shit. And I'm talking shit. And he hit me again. Bow. And he hit me that third time, and he cocked the gun. And this is where everything started getting put back together in my head. When he cocked the gun, I could hear it was empty.
Yeah.
When he cocked the gun, I heard it was hollow. And I knew it instantly. And he clack, clack, and he pointed at me. He said, I'm going to count to 3, and I'm going to kill you. 1, 2, and I said, 3, bitch.
Damn.
And then he hit me hard. Like, gal.
No bullets in there.
And he hit me so hard that the magazine came falling out of the bottom end of the gun when he hit me with it this 4th time. And it actually took me off my balance this time. And I bounced into a chain link fence, like a 6-foot alley fence in between the posts. And when I bounced into it, if that fence wasn't there, I was gonna hit the ground.
Yep.
But when I bounced into it, that fence caught me, and I springboarded off it, with the intent to kill this man.
So it was like the wrestling ring ropes.
Yeah.
So you hit
Yeah.
the ropes and
Yeah.
bounce
And
back
I mean, I
off.
was like 240, 230 at the point in time. I'm 260 right now to put in perspective.
Yeah.
And I came off that chain link, and I seen him just staring at his gun. He looked up at me, and all I could see was his eyes, mind you that. But as I was coming, I was already...
He just
His eyes got real big like a Looney Tune. You know what I mean? Like, and I connected. And the sound, when I hit him right here, the sound that came out of him was like, I don't know if you've ever heard like a chunk of 4x4 get hit with a metal
Just that
baseball bat.
ding.
Yeah, that came out of him.
Ugh.
And he, arms straight out, fell back and is laying there. And he's stiff. And I'd like to say I left him alone, but I didn't.
No,
I got up over top of him.
That's
and
fair
I
game at that
grabbed him
point.
by
Yeah.
the collar of his shirt right here, and I picked him up to where he's just like barely knocking his head on the pavement. I just started drilling him.
Good.
Yeah, and I hit him until my hand wouldn't let me hit him no more. And then I started stomping him. And then my buddy who was back there with me came over and jumped on top of him and this and that. And everything went from real slow to real fast to real slow.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Adrenaline is a wild drug. It's way more addictive than any of the drugs I feel like I've talked about. And so that's like toning down. And I remembered like we got another friend on the porch and he's a really big dude, so I'm gonna go get him. You got him. I knocked him out. That's verified.
He ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I get to the front porch. Bigger dude goes out back with them, and I black out. I pass out.
And you're just gushing, right? Like,
Yeah, it was like it wasn't for a pistol whip. It could have been way worse.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? That's how it's a setup. It's a setup. There's no bullets in the gun, and it was kind of you're WWE and him.
Yeah, you just got
And
knocked
you're
out for
hitting
nothing.
me, but
yeah.
you're just trying to scare me. But you're probably scared yourself. That's how I look at it now. But I did. I passed out on the front porch, and I woke up to his baby mom cleaning me up and this and that. And I knew it was a setup by the things that were said directly following that. But I didn't. I used to be very maniacal. You know, I wouldn't let people know that I was mad at them and shit. I'd plot on them.
Yeah.
I'd long game them.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So I was just like, hey, man, I'm going to get out of here. That was crazy. I'm out of here.
You still got your shit on you.
Yeah, they didn't
Still
get
got
nothing.
everything.
Didn't get nothing again. Very, very successful with people not getting nothing. And
Damn.
I got up out of there. And I went and I laid it down and slept it off and got up the next day and was back to normal business.
So what's the friend that set you up? What's his what you have encounters after that?
No. So also very, very major thing to cover is like all my friends I speak about from the past are dead.
Okay.
He's dead also.
Okay.
He got murdered.
Got murdered. Damn.
And you know what, man? At the point in time, I was like really mad at him, you know, because we were like super tight and this and that. But looking back on it, man, if the tables were turned out, I'd have probably done the same thing to him at the same point in time.
Yeah,
You know
it's
what I
not
mean?
like
I was just the mark.
yeah.
I was the mark. Addiction runs rampant, and I've got a whole lot of what everybody wants.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But I kept him close, man. I kept him close, and he knew that I suspected, and I knew what it was, and so like, but I was the type of motherfucker back then that like, I waited until I knew he was sick, and then I would go over there and be like, hey, let's go party, you know. And it's like he thought I was plotting on him
Yeah.
for revenge out of guilt. And I mean, maybe I was, but not at that point in time. And I just, you know, I knew he wouldn't come hang out if he wasn't sick. And I knew I couldn't build that trust back
Yeah,
up, even
yeah.
though I'm not the one that broke it.
Yeah.
If I couldn't get him out and about.
Yep.
So I leveraged and, you know.
That is pretty diabolical. Like well
it was.
played. Well played, sir.
Out of somebody being insecure for the vast majority of my life, you know, I acted very savagely. I learned how to read people and pay attention to what they thought they were hiding from people, because that's what I was doing. You know, what they didn't want people to know, I knew how to see it, and then I knew how to be at you if I needed to be at you. And because if I pull that out when I'm getting at you, it puts you in a panic. Because you didn't know anybody knew that about you. You tried to lock it away so deep.
Yeah.
But I saw it. And now I know, and once you're in a panic, you're vulnerable. You know what I mean? And really, I learned all that from being that person. Like, that's what I try to hide these things from people. You know what I mean? And I used to really use that to my advantage. By the time 2012 came, I was doing heroin. Pills were out the window. I mean, you got to think, dude, I was doing 35 30s a day.
Yeah.
And 5. I mean, I would wake up and snort 330s and 2 bars for breakfast. And it was because they were just a dime a dozen to me. It didn't matter. But the first time I seen somebody do heroin, $20 got them lit, you know? And I had always said, like, I'll never do heroin. And that went out the window real fast, and that new Superman was invoked. So by the time 2012 came, it all fell apart early 2012. My first friend from my original friend group passed away in between all that. It's actually February 5th, 2011, and I'm not going to bring his name up. But I woke up, and he laid there dead on my bedroom floor.
He OD'd?
Yeah. And that was a crazy morning.
Traumatizing, I'm sure.
It was another level of trauma. Absolutely. There's just there's things about that just don't go away. You know. Sights, feelings.
Yeah, you gotta work through that shit.
I mean, it's
Survivor guilt.
Yeah, a lot of guilt. This is a super good dude. Didn't get down like I did. But
for some reason, yeah.
That night, I was blacked out. Story goes, he helped me home that night from somebody else's place.
God.
And yeah, man. For the longest, it just ate at me on the inside. Like, why him?
Mm-hmm.
Why not you? You know.
Especially, I'm doing way more dirt and shit than he is.
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. And you know, that's how this addiction shit. Drugs don't discriminate. They will take your life right now, and it'll be always the person who you wouldn't expect. You know?
So heroin.
Yeah, heroin came. I'd already had a little stint with heroin previous to him dying, and then I stopped doing heroin, went back to doing pills, and him dying, I mean, within a month I was back on the needle. You know, shit wasn't working no more. And heroin was like the first thing that started really creating a downfall in my life at the point in time. And I just explained all this other crazy, chaotic shit. It sounds like it's a downfall, but it was luxury.
Yeah.
In an essence.
Yeah.
You know, people trying to rob you, you robbing people, you making money, you living a fast life, you know, all the things. But like, yeah, 2012 came around. Later part of 2011, like heroin was present. 2011 going into 2012, I found out I was Hep C positive on a Florida trip at a doctor.
Surprise.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I was shooting heroin, and I was trying to hide the fact that I was shooting heroin to the pain clinics, because that's a no-no back then. It's a red flag instantaneously. You will get banned.
Hep C.
And well, so I went to do a shot, and I missed, and I had a knot.
Oh, you got the little abscess
and
going?
then I wasn't even supposed to go to Florida till the next week, but some things fell through, and scheduling got changed around, and now I'm going a week in advance, and I got this knot, but I already have premeditated out, because I've been to this doctor clinic before that, like, when you go in, they'll take your blood pressure on the left arm, how the office is set up, so if I keep my arm like this, I can get away with this.
Okay.
Well, they added another triage room, and we get there, and it's flipped. So now they're putting the cuff on this arm. You know what I mean? And they're like, "What's that?" And I'm like, "What's what?"
Yeah, what are you talking about?
And they're like, "Yeah, you've been shooting up right there." And yeah, your blood work came back. Your liver enzymes is crazy. Pretty positive you got Hep C. And that was crushing. I felt like the world came to a standstill. Like I just got double gutted. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm not going to get the script I came down here for.
Oh.
Now I got to scramble.
Now you
And
got
I just
Hep
found
C.
out I have
Hep C.
Hep C.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
God.
But you know, the show must go on, dude. Stayed in Florida for the weekend and figured out another doctor and made that
I'm
happen.
sure
This went away, you know, and
Yeah.
it just kind of worked out. But I still had this lingering, like, panic. Because I didn't know shit about Hep C back then, you know what I mean? This is all new.
Well, it's just scary.
Life's getting really real,
Yeah.
really fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just scary.
I think at point in time right now, we're talking about I'm like 22.
Yeah.
You know, crazy, man. But yeah, the little once I got into heroin, money had already dissipated, this and that. I never really accumulated a lot of money doing any of this shit because I like to party more.
Yeah.
And money was just expendable.
As long as you could just keep it coming in, so you could keep doing
wash
what
and
you
repeat.
exactly.
I don't need to stack this
you
up.
don't
I
need
just
to
keep doing
stack
this.
it.
So I'm back in another little organization that was going to Florida and whatnot, and it was my off week, and so I was house sitting because the guy who was like the host, pretty much, house got broke into on the last trip. He had people down the road, and me and him was pretty close. So I was like, I'll house sit, da da da. And so at the point in time, we were leaving out of Columbus, driving to Miami, seeing the doctor. The pharmacy prices had got so crazy in Miami that it was like, it wasn't worth it to film in Miami. It wasn't worth the trip anymore. So then we would leave Miami and go to Virginia.
Well, those doctors in Miami know what they're doing. They know there's a
She knew what they were doing.
Yeah,
everybody coming down was drug dealers,
Yep.
and they could now become the legal drug dealer and name their price.
Because you
That's what
can't,
happened.
you can't
there's
bitch about prices.
shitload of money in Miami
dude,
too.
It was,
so
the
like,
whole state of Florida was stimulated. But yeah, so we drive to Miami and get the paper scripts, and then go all the way to Virginia and get them filled. It's much cheaper, and then come back to Ohio. You had to do this triangle, and it really worked out as long as you stayed in the rhythm. You didn't break out of the norm. And on this trip where I'm house sitting, they broke out of the norm. And instead of going to the one spot in Virginia that they were going to, they went to another spot, and they called. I think they tried at a CVS, and they called the ATF and the DEA.
Damn.
While they were in there, and they got everybody.
Damn.
And I'm house sitting. This is supposed to be like a 4-day trip, and we're supposed to be back to making money. And I'm on heroin, and now everybody's gone. And nothing's coming back for me to make money on.
And do you even know? Like,
yeah, how'd you find out they got hemmed up?
So there's it was an organization, and so another hired
Someone
person
reached
comes
out.
over to like check on the house. And
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, I didn't know you were here, and I'm like,
Yeah.
who are you? And then I was like, oh, they're in jail, and it's like, oh,
Like, oh,
and it's kind of like get it how you live now. In this house that had no traffic, and it was a very peaceful house, and this and that, dude, I was just a terrorist back in the day. You know, we're talking 2012 right now. I turned it into a full-blown trap house, dude. I blew the hinges off the doors. Like, stuff that wasn't mine of value, I was selling it at first just to get well and this and that. And then I hit a few back doors on some people that were pretty religious customers coming through that I was middlemaning for.
So now you're starting to kind of commit crimes, and you're getting a little dirty.
Everything we were doing was already crime.
Well,
but
right.
You're
But
doing
in
like
a different
the junkie
level. Now,
crime.
now
we're street level crime.
Now
Yeah.
you're nickel and diamond to get by.
Well,
Yeah.
I hit a front door, back door on somebody for like $2,200 on the first of a month. I think it was February 2012.
In the same house you're staying in?
Yeah. Well, I had them take me somewhere.
Okay,
else,
okay,
But
okay.
yeah, I plot shit out. But now I got $2,200, and I bought this and I bought that, and I opened up shop, and get it how I live. I got to hustle. You know what I mean? I just had to. Sorry, I had to use your money to stack my hustle.
Yeah.
And dude, did turn that place into a full-blown trap spot. And like a month and a half later, the person whose house it was, my guy, he ended up getting out. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know if they were ever going to get out. I had my dad working the door at this spot that I established. My dad was homeless at the point in time, and a blizzard came through, and I was like, look, if you can get here, I got a warm place for you to sleep.
Run the door and you can sleep here.
Yeah, and I paid him in beer and cigarettes.
Yep.
And he used to sit there and watch me get high. And I used to be so mad at him for it because he never said anything about it. You know?
It's almost worse, right? Like,
Well, the selfish side of me, I'd get super mad about it. Like, I'm your son.
yeah.
Not that I would have listened,
But
Right.
but it would have meant something.
Yeah.
If he
make
was
an
like,
effort
hey,
to, like,
how
what are you
about-
doing,
I don't
son?
want to see you do that.
I love you.
But you know what? He was living in fear, man. He's a full-blown addict, too. He just drinks his addiction. And he was living in fear that if he said something to piss me off, he wouldn't get his beer that day.
Yep. He's going to lose
And I
his-
couldn't see that at that point in time. And I couldn't see that for years to come. I see it now. But I held judgment against that man severely for that shit. But yeah, man, this is all going on, full-blown active. I've done lost like 40 pounds. I mean, shit's fucking crazy. And I'm upstairs in the guy whose house is his bedroom. I've taken that over now.
you got the master
And I've
suite
got
up
like
there.
4 people up there. We got I'm
banging your dope.
I'm making stuff up and shit's happening. And I hear, Dave, we got a problem. And it's my dad, the doorman. And the way the houses are set up in a hilltop is like if you got to go upstairs, you go up, and it's a landing. You go up again, but there's a window at that landing. So if you're at the top of the stairs, you can see a reflection to the bottom of the stairs. Okay, and I see this reflection coming up the stairs, and I'm like, who is that? Why is that a problem? You know? And around that corner comes this my guy, whose house it is. And it was a nice, peaceful, quiet house.
Not anymore.
Ago.
Not
And
anymore.
he just got out of jail from getting hemmed up,
In Virginia.
right? In Virginia,
And
yeah.
everything's in shambles. You know what I mean? And
Everything's
you just want
gone.
to come home and be comfortable, and it's jumping.
It's all your shit's gone.
It was like extravaganza kicked in, but I was liquidating everything.
Everything must go. Everything must go.
And he's like, who the and what the is going on here? I had like people that didn't have no place to stay, sleeping on the floors and shit, bro. Like it was jumping.
Jesus.
It was like getting out of hell and walking into hell, I feel like, for him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And yeah, that was that. That could have went really bad, I guess, but me and him had good history, and we knew each other for a long time, and I think he just kind of understood. Everything just fell apart, man.
What would you consider your rock bottom? Because, I mean, this is 2012. You got sober. You said you've been sober
23?
So, yeah.
2 years.
Yep. So I got sober the first time, shortly following all this. Got arrested on a felony larceny case from Walmart in Marysville. I stole a bunch
What's
of-
larceny?
Robbery.
What is it? Okay, robbery. Okay.
I don't know. They labeled it as larceny. When they arrested me on it, I was like, what the f is larceny? $4,000 cash
Out of what?
Oh.
out of a drop bag.
Okay.
Oh, was you hitting
yeah.
like snatch and run?
No, I was just sitting there, and I was just like, oh, what's in here? Oh, that's cool. Oh.
Okay. That's why.
I was working there through a temp service on third shift night
okay,
stock.
okay.
It
That's
was like
why
the,
it's not petty theft.
it was like the
Okay.
perfect storm that turned into a felony. But yeah, so that's how I got my first sobriety day, and then did some sober living. So I did a year locked up, like Tri-County Regional Jail, and then CBCF out in Marysville. Got out, transitioned, wanted a new start of shit. Didn't want to go back to the West Side. Moved into a sober living out in Reynoldsburg. It's not even open anymore. Well, this place
Sober.
This place was called Summer Rays.
Oh yeah, summer rays strikes again. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
wild.
Yeah, it is. It's
Wild.
wild.
The state shut it down, and that's a whole other story and this and that. But anyways, I was like, I used that place as a good transition, and I had my first
Taste.
stint into sobriety and this and that, and leveled up in life, and ended up moving back to the West Side and had a house, and blah blah blah. And time had passed by, and I thought I had this thing beat, and I got back into dealing drugs.
And the plan, I'm sure, was to just deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it stayed like that for a while. But the chaos that ensues, that is me when I get back in that fast life. I was working a full-time job. I was running a part-time business, concrete. I did concrete for a long time. And I was a full-time drug dealer too. And that fast life brings fast money, brings fast emotions, brings fast wants.
Fast
Also,
consequences.
I turned back into my savage. But in my head, I justified it with, I'm not getting up, so it's okay. You know what I mean? All this other shit's cool. I don't have a problem. I'm not doing heroin no more. Right. And it stayed like that. And I went back to using people, and I went back to plotting on people, and I was making money, and I had this ego God complex kicked in. I'm back to being needed and wanted. Dark web was jumping. It was crazy time. And then really what was happening was like this blister was just festering up, and it was just waiting for that one emotional prick.
Yep.
And it happened, and I lost my shit, and immediately went and grabbed some Percocets. Yep. And did them. And I was like, hello.
Welcome back.
I'm back.
Hi.
Welcome back. We missed you.
Like, years, and like, this is nice. And you know what was terrifying was like there was no build up and progression like I've went over clear up to this part of the story. It was just like, welcome back.
Right.
Blow the doors off of everything.
Same, right.
Let's go.
Like you never stopped.
Yeah. And I very quickly knew that it was a problem. I'm back to the 20, 30s a day, and we just picked back up a week ago. You know what I mean? I'm watching my money dwindle. Everything that I've been so proud of is falling apart because I'm really good at dressing up the outside.
Sure.
I got the nice cars. I had motorcycles. I had guns.
Try
I
to
had
make it
money,
look pretty.
Yeah. Don't look at me. Look at all my shit. And all that shit's starting to fall apart. So now I'm like, people are looking at me.
I like that line. I like that line a lot.
Yeah.
Don't look at me. Look at my
my
shit.
stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that.
A flaunt it. But when all that shit starts falling apart, now everybody's looking at you because you prided yourself so much on that. And so I try to be like the chemistry guy, on and off. Like if I don't do this and I do this and I cut back on this and I add this and this and that, I'll be okay. And I just couldn't. I'm not good at chemistry. You know,
Yeah,
I'm
couldn't find the right
I'm
equation.
not, dude,
Couldn't
and
find
I'm
the
not
right
a doctor
balance.
by any means.
Yeah.
So I just keep myself up, man. And more friends have died, and just. But I got probably the darkest time in my life. We get to 2022. Super emotionally distraught over a relationship that I'd been in that I had been a fucking terrorist in. And woe is me.
You took a hostage.
No, well, yeah, emotionally.
Yeah.
Emotionally, yeah, absolutely. It was very narcissistic of me going into that. You know, I was married. I started having an affair and fell in love with the affair.
We do that.
And presented myself as the
guy,
biggest
the hero.
knight in shining armor, you know, and because I read people, you know, and I did it to her, and I put on this persona of not me, and got in there and this and that, and left my wife for her, and you know, when you do dirtball shit happens to you, you know, and I thought that, you know, I was going to be the knight in shining armor. We were going to ride off into the sunset and this and that. No, what ended up happening was 4 years of just probably the worst relationship she had ever been in her life. And I couldn't see that I was the
common denominator.
I was the antagonist of this for you. You know, woe is me. You know, what do you mean you're upset with me? And my emotional reaction would be to go out and get as up as I possibly could, but not let her know.
Yeah.
And you only do that shit for so long and be such a emotional terrorist to somebody before they're just like everything about
Away
you.
from me.
Yeah, and when that finally happened, which there was periods of time where it happened on and off, but when it was finally like, wow. At that point in time, and I've kind of psychoanalyzed myself on it and this and that. That was a pain I didn't know how to manage. So I went out and created a new pain that I created that I felt like I could manage to replace that pain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because now I'm back in control, right? Even though I'm not. It's idiocracy, right? I'm burning the world to the ground, but I feel like I'm in control. No. But
And you're just yourself up.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, 2022.
I'll get high at you. Whatever.
Oh, and I'll lash out at you. I'll blame it on you. I'll say some shit completely outside of my neck. Threats and all the shit that comes with that, man. And 2022, the whole year of 2022 was just a massacre of self. You know, I was going to the spot and buying like 10 or 15 30s and doing them all in one line before I'd even leave there.
Jumbo line.
Come back 4 or 5 hours later, do it again. And then one day, I'm down there at the spot, and I buy my 30s, and the guy's like, "Hey, I got some really good cocaine," and I was like, "Nah, man, I don't like doing that shit." I even think I said like that shit's for pussies.
Yeah.
Because I had gotten to a point in life way earlier that I absolutely hated snorting cocaine. You know what I mean? There's not a drug in modern day time that I haven't done, but I got to the point where I absolutely hated snorting cocaine. I just get locked in the basement and be sitting in the dark.
Yep.
You know, and I hated it. And he's like, "Oh, okay." But the guy right behind me didn't even know the guy. He was next to buy his pills. I was like, "You still got them rigs?" He was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "What?"
Hang on.
Wait a minute, bud. Like, I've been coming here for like 2 years. You ain't never had that or those, and now you got them both. Here. Absolutely. Give me a pack of those and give me a teen of that.
Oh, yeah.
And I got back to my place, and I was like, I ain't done this shit.
We're talking about coke, right?
Cocaine.
So shooting coke.
Is this your first time? This isn't your first time shooting cocaine, is
No.
it? Okay.
Whole different beast.
I just hadn't done it in like
Yeah,
10
whole
years.
different
I hadn't
monster.
done it in like 10 years.
In my opinion, shooting cocaine, it's like a different drug.
Yeah,
versus
Oh,
sure.
absolutely.
It's,
Snorting cocaine was absolutely miserable to me, but I did it for 2 years consecutively.
it's funny. That's how I felt.
I was a sometimes crack smoker, depending on how high on heroin I was. But shooting cocaine,
It's a different animal.
it takes over.
No, but
It's
it's
nothing
and then
touches
you're
that.
just
Getting
jabbing
hit, hidden
yourself
by a
over
train.
and
Yep.
over
And
and
so-
over.
I get back to the house, and I'd already felt super trapped. I'm like, dude, I'm on these pills super bad again, and I know I'm not going to just be able to get off of them. You know what I mean? This sucks. They're not even enjoyable anymore. And then this cocaine and these needles come back into my life. And I had a buddy sitting at my house waiting for me to get back with the pills that I bought for him too. And I give him his things, and I get back, and I flip a Red Bull can over, and I pull these rigs out, and start
Cooking it
dosing me
up.
up a shot of Coke. And he's like, what are you doing? I was like, this is the best shit
This
ever.
is how you do it.
He was
awesome.
like, no way. He used to shoot heroin too before I knew him. And I'm like, you never done this? He was like, no. And I was like, I can't believe you made it through a needle addiction and never
Without a
shot
shot,
cocaine.
Wow.
yeah.
I was like, let me play devil's advocate here. I don't think this is a good idea for you. But I think you are failing miserably at life by not experiencing
Yeah.
this.
Not trying it.
You probably shouldn't try it, but you're really gonna
You're
love
gonna
it.
need to try
Like,
it. Yeah.
nothing else feels like this, but I'm not saying it's a good idea.
Do not do it.
Yeah.
And then I hit one. Yang. And he was like, shut the f up. And then he did it. And now we are on a bender. And I remember I told him like 2 days in, like, I'm going to use this to stop doing pills.
Yeah.
And I did. I did.
Oh, really?
I absolutely did.
Oh,
I
God.
tricked my
That
body.
sounds
I
terrible.
tricked
Yeah,
my body.
man.
I loved it, dude. I'd just stay up for like 5 days at a time shooting up cocaine, 1/4 ounce a day.
Well, I guess if you have that much blow to shoot, I guess technically.
Full disclosure, in 2022, I blew through $250,000 getting up by myself.
No, I believe you. 100%.
And
100%.
I don't know what the science is there. Maybe just staying awake for so long and replacing the dopamine kick and the serotonin kick so strongly that it just adapted. But I did. I stopped doing pills really fast, and I was intravenous cocaine use, like just shy of a 1/2 gram every shot, all day.
Holy
Oh my
Every
God,
day.
buddy.
Jesus.
Running around in public, driving, working.
Just being a madman.
Shooting cocaine is crazy.
It is.
Crazy.
I got addicted to the seizures that I would have
Mm-hmm.
and losing control of my
Yeah,
bodily
you're-
function. I had a rule. If you were partying with me and you were concerned after I did a shot, because I would fall over and flop like a fish,
Yeah.
all sorts of shit. If you were scared, you asked me if I was all right. If I gave you 1 thumbs up, call the ambulance. If I gave you 2 thumbs up, we're good.
Leave me be.
Swear. That was the rule. I told everybody this as we got
Jeez,
into
bro.
it. And that shit very fast. Just like I started shooting cocaine in June of 2022 again, and I made it to treatment in December, and everything in between there was the darkest, most f***ed up period I think of my life to date. When you're in a situation like that, very weird things start happening. And I mean, granted, there's a lot of drug use. The brain gets affected heavily in this and that. I'm a very spiritual person. I've seen ghosts all my life, even since before I started using type shit. And people can discredit that, whatever. You don't know what I see.
Sure.
You know, you
Yeah.
can think you know, but
Right.
you don't,
Right.
because you're not me.
Yep.
You know, but shit started getting wild. And I thought it was just ghosts again. I was kind of used to them at this point, man. I just kind of always been around, you know? And now this shit got real dark, man. Shit got real dark. And I started bringing people around that weren't there on a regular to, like, I wouldn't tell them. Just say, hey, man, just
like,
come
see
over
if
and
they-
kick it.
see
And
if
then
they-
they would report back, like,
Yeah,
what the
yeah.
f is going on?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Shit that just didn't make sense. And I'm a firm believer that entering into that very volatile, negative emotional state and then open up negative doorways, intravenous cocaine use and whatnot, shit gets wild, dude. And like demons were running around, and it was to the point where they were manifesting, and I could see them and shit. And maybe some of it was like cocaine-induced psychosis, but a lot
I'm
of it
sure
was
some
very
of it
real.
was that. but
Absolutely, I leave room for that. But there was like other situations where like
It was
you'd
just
hear
dark.
me and other people would hear the same shit.
The
They're not
same,
doing
yeah.
the cocaine that I'm doing. You know what I mean? People would be getting scratched in real time, standing around me, like, crack, and there's nothing there to scratch them. Like shit
Jesus
shit was
Christ.
up, man.
So when you go to treatment, do you just say you turn yourself in and say I'm done? How does that happen?
Well, so in October of 2022, I was using, and I got scared. I was at home using alone, and I did it, and I got scared, and it was the first time I'd been scared ever using, and I didn't know what to do. So I made 4 phone calls: one to my boss, 2 to my friends, and 1 to my mom, and told everybody. I thought I was breaking this big news.
Yeah, like breaking
Like,
news.
oh my God, I'm like super spun out on cocaine. I've been living like a terrible year, and I'm scared. And I thought I was like presenting this huge
Yeah, this
but now
big,
secret.
big
Big
reveal.
confession.
No, they're all like, duh.
Yeah, we know.
And all four of them asked, what are you going to do? And I said, I think I'm going to go to detox in the morning. They all four said, that's a great idea. And if one of them would have said, no, I don't think you need to, I would have latched
stuck
onto
onto
that.
that,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? So I stayed up all night and I got high all night. And Mary Haven Detox said, as long as you get here before like 1 o'clock, you're guaranteed a bed. And I showed up at like 12:45.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Perfect.
I'm lit. I've been up for 3 days.
Man.
Help me. And
Yeah.
you know what? This very magical thing happened. I walked through his intake doors, and I'm sitting there even before you go through the metal detector. And I'm sitting in that chair off to the right there, and I felt safe. I felt safe, and I felt just like, And I didn't feel unsafe previously of like, oh, somebody's going to come and get me or somebody's looking for me or this and that. I felt unsafe for myself. And I got there, and I felt completely safe, and it was a very brand new feeling.
Wow.
And I stayed in detox for like 8 days. And they suggested that I went to residential treatment, and I was like, I can't do that. I can't do that.
I gotta get back to
Yeah,
life.
I gotta go to work.
My exact reasoning was I said, I got a job, which I'd already been starting to fail at.
That's always the excuse number one.
I got kids.
I didn't bring them up.
Oh, right.
So, which is, I mean, it sucks to laugh about that, but it's just where I was at, man. I got a job. I got a truck payment. The reality was it's 2.5 months behind.
Yeah.
I've got rent to pay. Reality is I ain't paid that in
Ain't
2
paid
months.
that, yeah.
You know what I mean? And I said, I have 4 cats.
4 cats.
Because I did. And so those were the reasons I can't go to residential treatment. I just needed to get a break from what I was doing, and I got this. That was my mindset. And I go, all right. And I got out of there, and I went and got my truck, and I went to the office, and I got my paycheck that was waiting for me. And within 3 hours of being out of detox, I was high.
Yep.
Wow.
And I realized like,
Wow. Don't got this.
I don't, nope.
Yeah.
Nope. And so the next morning came around, and I called, I think 3 of the 4 people that I called before I went to detox that time, and I said, listen, it didn't work.
God, it's still so shocking to hear that. I know it happens all the time, but like,
Yeah.
after all that shit,
Yep. Nope.
Nah.
and you do your light days, and you get clean, and you think you're right.
Yeah.
3 hours.
3 hours.
God.
3 hours. It would have probably been an hour and a half if my truck was parked at Mary Haven.
Yeah.
But it was parked
Had
at a
you
buddy's
not had
house.
to cash your check and
Yeah. There was just steps in between that made it 3 hours. You know what I mean?
So now you're realizing I need help from other people.
I called my boss and I said, listen, I've got to stop working because I can't stop doing this, and I'm about to burn my life to the ground. It's too easy for me still. And I told my mom, and I told my buddy, and that was that. And it was like, I think mid-October, and my sobriety date is 12/19/22.
Okay.
So to the end of December, I had to completely everything
up.
everything, and I did. Truck ended up getting repoed. I figured that would make it harder. Nope. People, when you're spinning the way I was spinning, people will deliver to you no matter what time of day it is. On call, they were calling me before they go to bed, like, hey, we're going to bed.
You
Like,
need anything?
You want us to come through again? I'm like, yes, I do.
As a matter of fact.
I love that you
nice
called
of
me.
them, yeah.
Yeah.
And so that didn't stop anything. And my regular schedule at this point in time was like 4 days awake, 30 hours of sleep. 4 days awake, 30 hours of sleep.
Jesus.
And it was just like the feeling from that trip to detox until trip to final sobriety in between. I always accredited it to, like, you know, you ever had like the sunlight shining through the blinds, but it's not like a warmth, comfy sunlight. It's like dull.
I know what you're talking about.
Dim. And like everything's kind of like a wet blanket, and like there's just this smell in the air. You know, nothing's pleasant. The environment is thick. That's how it felt for that whole time. Just shady, yucky,
Gross.
unpleasant. And yeah, man, just using the no wits win, like no wits end. That's what I do now. I don't work anymore. My truck's gone.
Yeah.
Me and this girl's hustling dudes for money, and I know how to hustle her out of the money. So pow. And then the day came. It was about a week before I went back to detox. I went to do what I was doing, and I did it, and it didn't work. I just didn't feel anything. It didn't work anymore. And that was downright terrifying in itself. You know what I mean? Because I had heard people talk about this shit before, like last time I was sober, you know. And I would always be like,
Yeah.
build a tolerance,
Didn't
do
enough.
more.
Yeah, you didn't do enough.
more,
Yep.
stupid. But I knew how much I was doing, and I'm like, that can't be good. Like doing more might be.
What left is there to do?
Yeah.
Dude, I'll probably kill myself if I do more. And, you know, not that that had been a care or concern leading up to that. I mean, because once you're shooting cocaine, I think all care and concern kind of goes out the window about that. But, yeah, it's just very different. That release, that comfort, that distraction, that take you out of yourself just didn't work anymore. And I knew then, like, all right, we got to put a wrap to this. Like, shit's got to happen. And I was still stubbornly enough, the addict that I am, I waited until they came and put the orange tag on the door. Like, I could have went to treatment that day. You know what I mean? I was like, nah, man, still got a couple avenues. They came and put the orange tag on the door. And I was like, yeah, well, that's time to go.
It's time to go.
It's time to go. And I did, man. I had my mom come pick me up. I want to tell one more story before we get to some positivity, I guess. The last night that I was out there, was crazy. So I called my buddy. It was the last one of my original friend groups that was still alive. And I'm like, me and him have been partying on and off at this point.
Sorry, this is the last buddy that's alive?
Of my original friend group from like high school and shit. Yeah.
Jesus.
So a lot of funerals in between, you know. But I'm like, hey man, listen, I'm going back to treatment in the morning. You know what I mean? And he remembered the last time I got sober, we didn't get to hang out no more because he didn't. And I was like, you should come. You want to come over and party? Probably do that because I don't know when I'm gonna see you again. Like I'm going to get my shit back together, you know. And so he did, man. And this female that I had around was there, and I had 2 homeless people renting a bedroom off of me at the place I'm not paying rent for. You know, it was wild, dude. It's wild. I geeked off my whole living room. Shit was wild. Yeah, man. So we partied and this and that. Well, this female who'd been around for the last 6 months, she starts having like these stomach issues and shit. She keeps running into the bathroom and she's locking herself in the bathroom and this and that. And her mom, she had arranged for her mom to come pick her up sometime. Well, she's in my bathroom and she turns her phone off. And she gave her mom an address and her mom's at my door. And I got an active warrant at this point in time. So I'm kind of like, I just want to make it to treatment. You know what I mean? And now there's a pounding at my front door. And I think it's the cops. So I'm like, I'm not going downstairs. I sent my buddy out the back door to walk around the building to the front and figure out who it was. And it's her mom, and I've never even met her mom. You know what I mean? I've really only known this woman for 5 months. You're just around and shit. And comes in, super concerned. I figured out it was her mom. My buddy tells me, and I go down there. I'm like, listen, your daughter's in my bathroom. I don't know what's wrong with her. She's not in like threatening injury or anything. She's got a stomach ache. But like, I just need you to know I wouldn't let anything happen to her here. And I know you don't know me, so you take that at face value, whatever. So she comes in, and as a concerned parent that she is, she's like, yo, get up. She's like, no. She's like, if you don't get up, I'm calling the ambulance. And I remember I stopped her. I was like, look, again, you don't know me. I said, but I'm going to rehab in the morning, and I've got a warrant.
Please don't this up.
I was like, if you're going to call 911, let me get out of here.
I got to
first.
leave.
Like, I will leave. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just please. And she's like, you should leave. It's my own place.
Yeah.
I'm like, bet.
Thank you.
Solid
ma'am.
move.
Later.
Thank you,
I
ma'am.
got a 1/4 ounce of cocaine and a bunch of rigs, and I'm walking around in Grove City with a warrant at nighttime.
Yeah,
Just
nighttime.
Told my buddy, hey, let me know when they fucking leave so I can come back to my own place. You know what I mean? And that's just like, I feel like this. I knew that if I got arrested that night, I wouldn't make it to rehab, and when I got out of jail,
Doing
I'd be
right,
up
same
again.
thing.
So it's just like, I didn't want to be in that anymore. So yeah, the next morning, got a ride with my mom to rehab, got dropped off at Mary Haven Detox again. And instantly felt safe when I got up in there. Again. I was like, wow, twice.
Yeah.
You know? Shit.
What are the odds?
Oh. And so I went through detox, and I had a great time. Great time. Both times I was in detox, I had an amazing time. As ironic as that might sound.
Yeah, how explain that a little bit
Dude,
more.
I was just a ball of energy. Like, people were really off-put by me. Like, what the hell? How are you so positive? Like, where's all this energy and this and that? And there's a lot of people in there on fentanyl and this and that. I'm on cocaine, you know?
Okay.
And so, like, there's a mental withdrawal on cocaine. It's
Yeah,
not
you
physical.
weren't going through that brutal opiate
And dude,
withdrawal.
I had a blast. I wasn't in the prison that I had built anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
You know? I'm out of it. This is freedom now.
You're free.
Holy shit. And got to the end of detox. And they's like, well, we suggest you go to residential treatment. And I was like, yeah, yeah, let's go.
You said that before,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
2 months ago.
You mentioned
You
that
said
not that long
and
ago.
I said, no, I mean, we can go now. So they sent me over to Allen Creek and North Wing. Had a blast in there, dude. Had a blast in there. I was still manipulative as shit. I was just lack of drugs. I mean, I worked my hand in Mary Haven like.
I mean, yeah, just because you pull the drugs and the
Yeah.
alcohol out of our body doesn't
Yeah.
mean that we
I mean,
still can't manipulate.
I was.
and-
I know how to connect with people and plug in with people, and so I'm like getting the whole unit extra smoke breaks and like getting staff to break rules that shouldn't be broken.
Yep.
Like, hey man, give this person this and this and this and that,
Yep.
and I just working my hand, and it got to the point where everybody in the unit knew that I was like the hustler, and it kind of started blowing the spot up, and I had to check everybody. Like, hey man, shut the
Stop,
let me work. It's been
Yeah.
working, egotistical. But I got into residential, and they suggested that I go to this sober living, pick a sober living place to go to. Which, yeah, absolutely. I don't have a house to go back to. I lost everything. I put it all inside me. So I chose this men's sober living program on the west side. And ironically enough, it was in the old Shanaway apartments. It was in the old Shanaway apartments. And when I was born, my mom and dad brought me home from Mount Carmel West to Shanaway apartments.
Man.
And
There you were.
even more coincidental, the street that I moved into on Shanaway Apartments into the sober living place, it was the same street that my mom and dad had an apartment on
Full
when
circle.
they had me.
Full circle.
So my mom told me that when I first got there. She's like, "Oh my God, like that's where we brought you from the hospital to."
Wow.
Same street.
Wow.
And it's right across.
Reborn.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. It started here. Now here we started here again.
Yeah.
And that was some of the most just like overflowing gratitude moments in my sobriety. It was in early days, living in a townhome with 8 other people that were trying to figure it out. You know what I mean? And I didn't have shit, but it was a very new feeling. No material possessions, just a want and a desire. And
Isn't it weird how those early days are like, I kind of miss them sometimes because like my only responsibility was to stay sober, help other people, go to my recovery meetings.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's all I had to do.
Yeah, dude. It was,
Before you start juggling the balls of life.
Absolutely.
We're grateful to have that.
Yeah.
But like those early days, I do remember them and miss them sometimes.
it's like it was super, everything feels new. Everything feels new. And I remember saying that, living there, like, do you guys feel like everything feels new? And I'm like 36 years old. And they're like, some of them be like, no, man, what the you mean? And I'm like, all right, you're just not on my level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is like, I'm excited about everything.
You literally are doing everything for the first time.
Yeah. I mean, especially if you take into account the story that I've had, dude, I spent the mass majority of my life under fast mindset or heavy influence. Like I said, there's not a drug in current day time that I haven't had my stints with. I just, didn't itemize them. But from there, man, it's been a progression. It's been a progression,
Tell us about life today.
Life today is,
just so people, the viewers, can understand, like, you told all these dark stories, right? Talk about today.
So life today, progression from living in a townhome with 8 people. Positivity is abundant. I have a super solid relationship with an amazing woman. I met her in recovery. Wild. We were very closely assimilated through a friend of mine. She had children with a friend of mine. He's also dead. They were married at one point in time. Me and her never met. I knew him. She knew him. She knew of me. I knew of her.
But you
we
never met her.
never crossed paths.
Yeah.
Until we got into recovery. Her sober date is 2 days after mine.
Damn.
Wow.
And we have a little boy now. He's 8 months old, David Crego Jr.
You just got back from a cruise,
We
didn't
just
you?
got back from a cruise.
Yeah.
Got back into work. I've leveled up. There's just been steps of level. Got back into work. I now am me and a business partner own a roofing company.
Your own.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And very successful last year. We opened on a partial season, late spring, early summer, and just me. And we did about 500,000 in revenue. Looking to expand that. But my internal peace is probably the most beneficial thing that has come from this. I don't I don't have that insecurity that I lived with most of my life anymore. And I don't have that thing I feel like I have to hide from people anymore. And I'm not perfect by any means, you know. I have my days where I lack gratitude. You know what I mean? And then I got to remind myself, like, hey, mother, you were living in the basement of a townhome with
right.
8 people,
dudes, bud.
you know what I mean, in Shannon Way, and you were super happy, you know, and it's just, it's cheese and wine problems, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
And
Designer problems we have now.
there was I think mid-January, I made a Facebook post, and I was like, sometimes I've got to remind myself that 2 years ago I was starting over with nothing. You know what I mean? And it really puts it in perspective.
Yeah.
Really puts it in perspective. I missed out on a lot in all those crazy stories that I told with my daughters, and I don't ever get to get that back. We have a good relationship today. It's not as
You and your
solid as it was.
daughters.
Not as solid as it once was.
It's growing.
Yes.
Good.
But, you know, I hurt them.
Yep.
I was their dad, and I left them hanging. I have another shot at fatherhood, which 14 years ago I started saying I'll never have kids again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, now here we are. I got an 8-month-old, and it's awesome, and I'm on a much different plane in life. So I really get to enjoy it. It's kind of like the first time again, and it sucks, but it's a blessing at the same. It sucks because I'm a third-time father, and this is really the first time I'm figuring it out. You know, unfair to them little girls. I was a baby having a baby.
But God willing, your son will never have to see you
Yes, absolutely.
drink or use.
Absolutely, God willing. You know, and I've learned what I need to do to not drink or use, and so as long as I keep doing that shit, I won't drink or use. Like you mentioned, we just got back from a cruise. First time I've ever left the country. The government let me get a passport. You know, it was sweet, right?
Yeah, I know.
And we took a 5-day cruise. Me, her, and Junior.
Yep.
We took the baby. You know,
I saw the picture.
awesome, dude. We went to Mexico, Cozumel, Costa Maya.
How was it, by the way? Because we
Amazing.
talked about it beforehand.
Yeah.
I had a bad cruise experience. Yours was, you loved it?
Beautiful.
Awesome.
Loved it.
Awesome.
Favorite vacation I've been on. Costa Maya is really lower poverty. We went and seen the Mayan pyramids,
ruins.
and it's like super deceiving. So it's like going to seeing a pyramid on the hilltop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
Really?
just like, here's Sullivan Avenue, here's a pyramid.
Here's a
Okay.
Okay.
Interesting.
Cozumel, we got there. I canceled an excursion we booked, and we rented a Jeep, and we just went and toured the whole island on our own. No tour guide,
So
free.
cool.
Beautiful. You know, in sobriety, I've went through a pretty crazy gambling addiction. I've had to self-exclude myself from gambling.
Me too.
Yep. I mean, dude, and I'm an addict. I'm an addict, man. And I get addicted to fastness, you know, and that's gambling in a nutshell. And I mean, I just had to make an amends to my girlfriend on Tuesday because on Sunday, now I self-excluded myself, which anybody that's listening that doesn't know what that is, it means in the state of Ohio, I cannot gamble at all.
Any casino.
Any casino, any sports book, any of that
And
shit.
just so you know, I've been out of state and been caught out of state at other casinos and kicked out. So just know that.
yeah.
That's
And
possible
gas
too.
stations.
And
yeah,
dude.
lottery, and
Yeah.
shit like that.
No, like he'd watch me get escorted out
It
of a
was
gas
so
station.
beautiful. It was the
They
funniest
got
thing.
me on the facial profiling thing
Well,
at a gas
isn't
station
that
in
the- isn't that the
Pennsylvania.
wildness of this addiction shit. Like, we know it's a problem, so we
I
self-exclude
know.
ourselves.
Yeah.
And if anybody that doesn't understand what self-excluded is it means I went to the casino and I told them I have a problem
Yeah.
and I need you to ban me.
Do
I want
not
to ban
serve me.
myself.
Yeah.
And so what that does is it puts a ban in place in the entire state of Ohio, and I included all the sports books.
Yep.
Well, last Sunday, my addict brain kicks in, and it is very impulsive. And I used one of my buddy's sports books to place a parlay. I'm like, hey, let me see your phone. I'm gonna sell you this money.
Yeah.
Here's the parlay I want
Yeah.
cooked. And every parlay looks sick when you place it. They all look good when you
They
bet them.
do. They're all locks.
And the first leg of the parlay, it didn't hit. I came home and I told her, I was like, hey, I used so-and-so sportsbook and I placed the parlay. And she was pissed. And I was like, I only put $100 on it. You know, that's the justification in my mind.
That's what I would have said.
You know, this is justification in my mind.
Yeah.
I put $100 to get $6
Not
grand
like I
back.
put a
You know what I
band
mean?
on it or
And
something.
the first game, I barely missed on my first leg of the parlay. So I called another buddy.
Placed another one.
And I sent him $250.
Damn.
And I'm like, pull your sports book up and bet this for me. And she heard it and she got even more mad.
Ooh.
And at the point in time, I was sitting in my shit, you know what I mean? And I couldn't see it. I couldn't see it. The next day we had a conversation, and she expressed to me exactly how upset she was. And
But you get to do that. You get to
Yeah.
have that open line of communication.
so I made an amends, and I let her know, like, you know what, you're absolutely right, and I hear everything you say, and I understand the worry and concern and stress that I just invoked in you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I knew that there was a problem with this, and so I put up boundaries
Yeah.
for me to not do this, and then I just
And you do it.
adequately manipulated my way right around the boundaries
Yep.
and found 100 reasons to justify it instead of understanding why you're upset.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's selfish, it's self-centered of me, and I shouldn't have done it, and you're absolutely right. And, you know, I won't do that anymore. I will do better. And she thanked me for hearing her.
Isn't that crazy?
It's-
Just validating her.
You
That's
know how
it.
good that felt?
Yeah.
Because in most of my relationships, it is not, I wasn't able to hear.
Right.
It's woe is me. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So yeah, I'm not perfect, but I find great happiness and gratitude, and
Send a message to any
people.
struggling alcoholic addict or a family member that's struggling with an alcoholic addict, an active addiction, or any message you would send out there, because I know everybody's got a different one. Short and sweet.
you're not the piece of shit that you think you are.
Mm-hmm.
You're just stuck in a super dark lane right now, and nobody can determine when it's time for you to get out of that lane except for yourself. You'll know when it's time. I don't hold judgment against you for being in that lane. I spent most of my life in that lane, but you and only you will know when it's time to get out of that lane. And if you give yourself 25% of the energy
Man.
on this side of the fence
Yeah.
of what you gave yourself on that side of the fence, life will get exponentially better,
Yep.
faster than you could
And
imagine.
even imagine.
Dude,
That's a.
incredible story. Like Aaron said, I was just, this was cool. For
I was just
just
hanging
along for
hanging
the
on every
ride.
word,
Like,
yeah.
really fantastic. Thank you for coming out last second.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the
Um,
opportunity, man.
Fantastic, dude. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys.
Damn.
That's it.
Cool.
That was good. That was good,
That
man.
was really good.